and YouTube channel.
Oh, correction. It'll be Taylor Hall. He'll drop it back. Svechnikov shoots and scores! A quick setup. And what a shot. That's the magic Andre Svechnikov.
What? You want the ball with the kid? Watch your step. You might fall trying to do what I did. Mama, come close side in the middle of the club with the rubber dubs. No love for the haters, man, cause I got floor seats at the Lakers. See me on the 50-yard line with the Raiders. That Ali, he told me I'm the greatest.
Just after 2 o'clock, thank you for tuning into the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Also, Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X. If you're looking for it on Instagram, give us a follow at Sports 1440. Connor Halley, we've got Declan Kruger, Liam Peace with you here, setting you up for a fun day in the world of sports. Wanye Gretz will be by in a few minutes here. The Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. It's Wednesday. That means you got the $649, $26 million tonight. Also, if you want to get in on a little prop bets in the NHL, NBA, you can go to the live sports area. You can put in the promo code Gregor50 with your deposit, and you'll get a $50 free bet at playalberta.ca. Make sure to use your game sense. The text line 1-833-401-1440. If you would like to get in on the conversation, it's the eWell inbox. Score your power play with the partners at eWell. Get all your electrical needs at ewell.ca with 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and across Alberta. Lots to get to on the show today. Of course, another off day for the Oilers. They'll prep to take on the Detroit Red Wings tomorrow night. Last night had a little bit of a charity event. Looked like a poker tournament. If you were following them on social media, looked like a really good time, raising some money for the kids, having a good time, and back on the ice today, getting ready for tomorrow to take on the Red Wings. On the show today, we will be joined by Mike Rupp from the NHL Network. Also, former player, Stanley Cup champion, helps cover the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby today. He's done. He's not talking about the trade reports anymore. We'll also hear from Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff. He was out in Jasper over the weekend, a little pond hockey tournament. We'll see how that was. He's actually going to hang around for 2 segments in studio with Wanye and myself. So we'll talk some Oilers, maybe a little Buffalo Bills quickly. Don't want to get into that too much. Might be a little bit of a sore spot. The Toronto Blue Jays and more with Yaremchuk at 3 at 4:20. Brogan Houston's going to join us. Covers the Utah Hockey Club, Utah in action night, hosting those Pittsburgh Penguins. Got to see what's it like in Utah, Salt Lake City. Do they get fired up when Sidney Crosby comes to town? I don't know. Utah started off pretty good. Was feisty, 4-6 in their last 10 now. Third last spot in the Central Division. But hey, who knows? A run probably won't be enough. They're 11 points back. They're behind Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, and Winnipeg. Those are some pretty good teams. It won't be easy to catch up there. Spec will join us at 5 o'clock. And then at 5:20, we'll to the NFL report. The Senior Bowl going on right now. We'll talk to, maybe Declan, maybe some others. We got some feelers out there right now. And we'll talk about what's going on down in Mobile, Alabama, as players try to improve their draft stock heading into the upcoming season. And if you're someone looking for a quarterback, I've talked about this for a while. I'm a little unsure on this quarterback class. Obviously, you got Ward, you got Sanders. I kind of like Jackson Dart as someone who might be a little bit later on in the draft. We'll see. We'll get Declan's opinion on that. And as the draft approaches in the NFL and free agency, of course, we're going to have that covered. Big Wally style says, hey, nice. Big Willie style. Nice play on the name there. Husk's not a big fan of that one. Declan says, Will Smith, so bad. I don't mind. That was one of the first CDs I ever had. I got 2 CDs for Christmas. Rage Against the Machine, Battle of Los Angeles, I think. And Will Smith. Was it called the Millennium? I don't know. I got those CDs for Christmas in Palm Springs. Played them nonstop. Good time. Declan, how are you doing today?
Doing excellent. You know what's funny about Will Smith? When we got our first DVD player as a family when I was a kid, it came with 2 movies. One of them was Analyze That with Robert De Niro, and the other one was Wild Wild West with
Jim West.
With Will Smith. And when I was a kid, I was like 6, 7, 8 years old. I had no desire to watch a movie about a therapist, so I would just watch Wild Wild West all the time on repeat. Feel like I can quote that movie to this day.
Salma
Hayek, yeah. Kevin Kline, Kenneth Branagh. Hell of a movie. Terrible movie, actually. That's not true. It's not a hell of a movie. Horrible movie. But fun. A lot of fun to watch.
I do miss the days when you could just rely on Will Smith putting out that summer blockbuster and then an absolute banger of a track.
You know,
with
he
it.
turned down The Matrix to do Wild Wild West.
He was going to be Keanu?
Yep.
No way.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
turned it down to do Wild Wild West. Later said he regretted the decision.
I don't blame him. He also did Suicide Squad, which I think was a bit of a flop. But Men in Black, good movie, good song. Wild Wild West, maybe a bad movie, but the song with Drew Hill, pretty good song. 1-833-401-1440. Husk says, okay, Rage Against the Machine, 10 out of 10. Yeah, Rage Against the Machine. Great band. Very, very good. We will continue the text here, 1-833-401-1440 today in the NHL, in case you missed it. What's going on? How about Mark Stone? What are your thoughts on Mark Stone, everyone? Takes out Miro Heiskanen of the Dallas Stars last night, claims that it was a trip. I don't know exactly what his intentions were. We're going to talk to Rupper about that very shortly here. We're going to get him on a little bit earlier on in the program. There is no doubt in my mind that he is trying to initiate contact of some sort. Maybe it's the hip. Maybe he's trying to slow him down. But Miro Heiskanen needed help off the ice. We don't have an update. The Stars not skating today, but that did not look good. It didn't look like Heiskanen could put any weight on that leg. If he were to be out for a significant amount of time, it would not surprise me. That to me is one of those things where Stone might get away because you can plead your innocence. But similar to other plays we've seen in the NHL this season, I think Stone knows what he's doing. And for a guy who often misses time due to injury himself, thought that was a little bit of an iffy play. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that one. Dive in at the Nia Heiskanen, taking him out of the game. Not cool. Philip Grubauer placed on waivers this year by the Seattle Kraken. He's 5-15-1, 3.83 goals, save percentage. Sorry, goals against average with an 8.86 save percentage. Not good enough. He's in the middle of a pretty nice contract as well. So looks like he's going to be going down to the AHL. We also finding out today that Brandon Saad has been released by the Blues. Contract terminated. So looks like he wants to get out of there. On the season, 7 goals, 16 points. That's 43 games. And with the contract termination, he loses $5 million. Now, we looked into it because that's a pretty big loss of money. But he's made about $57 million in his career. Now, as Declan Kruger brought up, a good chunk of that goes to the tax man. But yeah, for a chance now, looks like to go to a Stanley Cup contender, Brandon Saad will have to take a bit of a pay cut, lose a little money. But I think he'll be okay. Husks texting in. Wild Wild West is 16% on Rotten Tomatoes. Leonardo DiCaprio also bailed on the Neo role. Hey, we love Keanu, and I'm glad it went to him. And I think he knocked it out of the park with that one. But yeah, we're also going to look at some landing spots for Brandon Saad. I mean, if you are a guy like him, I'm sure as a depth piece, some contending teams would look at him. I've got to assume, like if he's willing to walk away from $5 million in this contract, money's not the biggest thing to him. So if he can find a spot on a contending team, wouldn't surprise me if he decides to do that. But those are kind of the headlines from the NHL this morning. Of course, the Oilers, as we mentioned, back on the ice earlier today. Per the reports of those down at the rink, I'll use Stoff's lines: RNH, McDavid, and Brown. The top line, Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Skinner skating with Henrique and Hyman. Kind of like the makeup of that line with Philp, Janmark, and Perry. Philp being on the wing here. Nurse, Stetcher. How about this second pairing? Klingberg, Bouchard. And then you've got Kulak, Emberson, Skinner back on the ice. Congratulations once again to he and his wife on the birth of their second child. Matthias Ekholm, Sammy Kapanen not on the ice. So that's kind of why the defensive pairings, maybe a bit of a day off for Matthias Ekholm. I'd say he's earned it. He's had another great season doing his thing for the Edmonton Oilers. A few more text rolling in Big Wally style. Longhorns fan here. How early do you see Quinn Ewers going in the draft? Any good guesses where he might end up going? 100% in the draft, Quinn Ewers?
Yes.
He's not, no transfer. He's not going to Oregon?
Nope.
Okay, so I personally, I don't know. Day 2, day 3 pick. I don't think he's a first rounder by any means. Backup. I don't know, Declan, what you might think on this one, but for me, I don't know if I have him as a guy who's going to be starting anytime soon unless injury pops up. But a guy who, you know, I think has some potential there, and you give him a few years to learn, maybe under a proven quarterback, wouldn't mind it. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Kasperi Kapanen. I know. I tried to correct myself there. Derek. Sammy Kapanen. How far back does he go? He's now a coach. He's 51 years old. Played for the Hartford Whalers. Yeah, a bit of a deep cut with Sammy Kapanen. Kasperi Kapanen for the Edmonton Oilers. Not on the ice today. Eden says Mark Stone is a big female dog. You know what that means. We'll take a break here. We're going to get to Mike Rupp a little bit early on the show today. He's got some NHL network obligations, so we'll get to him a little bit sooner so we can let him go quicker. Also on the show today, we'll talk some Bakersfield Condors with Ryan Holt, team play-by-play, see what's going on in the farm. Tyler Yaremchuk, we've got Spec, we'll talk some Utah HC, all that and more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation Facebook, YouTube, and X, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Once upon a Battle of Alberta, WHL style, your Edmonton Oil Kings host extra special royalty in Ice District.
Friday, it's the first ever Oil Kings Princess Night at Rogers Place as Edmonton looks to defeat the Calgary Hitmen.
Fans can dress up as their favorite royal and find princesses roaming the concourse all night for the ultimate selfie.
Plus, score Calma Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is king-sized.
Edmonton Oil Kings Princess Night, Friday at 7.
Happily Ever After entertainment at Rogers Place starts at just $20 a seat. Save on day of game pricing now at oilkings.ca.
At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe in the wisdom of Patch Adams. Treat a disease, you win, you lose. Treat a person, I guarantee you'll win no matter what the outcome. We don't treat conditions, we treat people. From personalized treatment plans to compassionate care, we're committed to helping you achieve your goal. That's why hands-on techniques, unique technologies, and a commitment to hiring amazing people mixed with friendly, fun neighborhood environments. And ta-da! No, it's not magic. It's about being human. Sometimes being human hurts, but life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
For years now, we've been warning Edmontonians on the hazards of our stormwater facilities. While they may appear to look like still ponds, there is moving water beneath the surface, which makes the ice dangerously... The unpredictability of stormwater facilities makes them treacherously unsafe for all winter activities, even walking. So think twice. Don't go on the ice. A safety message from EPCOR.
Adventure just doesn't stumble into your life. It roars to life with Riverside Motorsports. Tearing up trails or cruising the open road. Yamaha ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles, and dirt bikes deliver the performance you crave. Built for thrills, ready for your next adventure. Yamaha's legendary performance and reliability take you there. Make Mother Nature your playground on a Yamaha from Riverside Motorsports. Located on St. Albert Trail. RideRiverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
It's the best. Honda is the place for service too. I love it. I love my Honda taste. Would you buy? Would you buy? Would you buy? It's the
Weed Johnson, whoa.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson. We've been family owned and operated for nearly 50 years, a foundation built on trust. Using our extensive experience, we'll make recommendations with your best interests in mind. So while many heating and air conditioning companies offer specials and huge discounts, financing options, and no overtime charges ever, we'll keep doing what we do best, providing you a quote that is honest and transparent, ensuring you get what's best for your family. Visit wjheats.com today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Get the Slapshots special, add a 2-liter Pepsi product to a large one-topping pizza and garlic Parmesan breadsticks and bundle it for only $25.99. Use promo code HOCKEY24 at papajohns.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Sometime, and I want to spend some time with you. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I. We look for love, no time for tears. Wasted water.
Welcome back. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Liam Peace with you at the EWEL Studios in West Edmonton Mall. The Jason Gregor Show, as always, is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca tonight. We've got the Lotto 649, 20 million. Nay, $26 million. That extra $6 million would go a long way. Go grab your ticket online, PlayAlberta.ca. Remember to use your game sense. Text line is 1-833-401-1440. A lot's going on in the NHL. So we're going to bring in our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Spruce Grove Saints. Support the Saints by watching games. And if you can't make it, you can get their 50-50, Saints5050.com. Tickets available at sgsaints.ca. They're in action over the weekend when they'll take on West Kelowna. That's Friday night out at Grant Fuhr Arena. We bring in Mike Rupp from the NHL Network, former NHLer, Stanley Cup champion. Mike, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I am doing good. We appreciate you making some time to join us on the show. Let's get right into it. Kind of a hot topic that we've seen around NHL circles, the play last night for Mark Stone on Miro Heiskanen. Heiskanen did not look good when he left the game. It was kind of a bang-bang play. Ray Ferraro on the broadcast, I think the quote was, "What are you doing, Mark Stone?" What were your thoughts on that play?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously something you don't like to see. You never want to see injuries, and it looked like a nasty one, especially to the knee there. There was, in my opinion, there's zero intent there. I think that you also, I think Ray Ferraro was kind of pointing out that on a replay, you saw Rupe Hintz's stick kind of get involved. I wonder how much that maybe made Mark Stone lose his balance, start to fall down. I guess the one thing, if you want to slow it down and look at it and say, how did this happen? Mark Stone's going down and he tries to lunge to I guess, break up the play or get a piece of Heiskanen. None of this is any intent. I think that you go back to Mark Stone as a player. I just think the situation, it's unfortunate. It stinks. We see these things happen. We don't like it happening, but there's nothing of ill intent there, in my opinion. But man, this stinks. It's bad for the Dallas Stars. Terrible for Team Finland, for Four Nations, which already had a pretty thin decor, in my opinion. Waiting to hear news on Miro Heiskanen. Hopefully it's not as bad as we think.
Yeah, and I believe not skating today, so we should hear tomorrow probably at the very latest. But absolutely, just a tough sight to see him hobbling down the tunnel. Did not look good. You touched on the Four Nation face-off, and I want to ask you, as a former player, I think for a lot of guys, obviously not taking part in it, it's a really nice vacation. But for the guys going to this event, what do you think the intensity level is going to be? We've had a lot of people saying, when McDavid and Matthias Ekholm see each other in the corner, they don't see it getting too feisty. But there is some national pride, and you want to represent your country and win. What do you think the intensity is going to be like?
It's interesting because we haven't seen anything like this, right? Like the World Cup, we haven't had that for quite some time. Being in Toronto there. This is the first time for this Four Nations. It's like anything else with some of this international play, even dating back to some of these players, their World Junior days, they're short tournaments. Mm-hmm. You can't really wait for things to pick up, but I kind of feel like you're mentioning, it's a little bit of foreign territory here, having this in the middle of the season, because we haven't had it in quite some time, where I wonder if it's going to be a little bit of dipping your toe in the water to start, but man, I think it's going to pick up really quick, and you're going to have the nation's pride. There's only 4 teams, so you're going into this tournament, regardless of what situations are, injuries, whatever it is. You're sitting there saying to yourself, we got a 25% chance of winning this thing. So I think it's great odds, right, to start a tournament with, and I expect it to be pretty feisty, especially as you probably get going at game 2, game 3 into the tournament.
And we are only a couple of weeks away from this tournament. Obviously, Pietrangelo steps out. I'm assuming that's probably going to be the case for a few players with some injuries as we get closer to the event that maybe want to look to go for that extended cup run. But if you were doing power rankings, Rupper, going into this tournament, how would you have it ranking 1 through 4?
Oh man, it's so tough with some of these the injuries and the unknowns and what teams are going to be. I guess looking at it, I certainly think that U.S. and Canada are the two favorites, in my opinion. I don't want to have any slight to Sweden's got a really talented squad. I'd probably, the old power rankings, I'd probably have to say I'd probably go U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland in that order. But I mean, lots of different things can change. I mean, you got the health of some players. I mean, the U.S. got some banged up players on their side. You never know what this is going to look like in a couple weeks. But I would say probably all three of Canada, U.S., and Sweden are a certain level. And I feel like Finland's really the one that's maybe not as powerful as the other two or three.
Mike Rupp joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in. And Rob, we saw this kind of going back to last week, the big trade with the Carolina Hurricanes, the Avalanche, the Chicago Blackhawks getting involved. And I think Kevin Weeks had a picture of the Pittsburgh, the skyline, like the bridges. Got us all thinking, is this happening? Could Sidney Crosby be on the move? Addressed the room today, saying he's done, talking about these sort of things that he can't control, really. Is there any chance that Sidney Crosby would be moved this season and Kyle Dubas, would actually do what would seem unthinkable?
I mean, there's certainly always a chance for anything, and I hate to always go back to it, but everybody in Edmonton knows if Wayne Gretzky can get traded, anybody can get traded. So I know that that's a very commonly used thing, but it's true. And so I would bet the farm that there's no moving of Sidney Crosby this year. And what I'm hanging my opinion on is basically how committed he is to not just the city of Pittsburgh and this franchise, but how committed he is to Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and that group that's been together through so much. I think if there is a possibility that Sidney Crosby dons another jersey at some point here in his career, it's going to be when Evgeny Malkin's deal is up and he's moved on to whatever that means, if it's retirement somewhere else, wherever it is, or if Chris Letang gets traded. I think eventually then Sidney Crosby will be at a point. I don't see Sid. I genuinely don't see Sid being the first one to go.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And for the Penguins right now, obviously the season not going the way they would have hoped. Second last spot out east. But man, realistically, you're only 7 points back. And we saw them go on a heck of a run at the end of last season to try to make that push. It'd be cool to see. To be honest with you, I'm just fired up to see him play for Canada with McDavid and McKinnon. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. What did you think of the news of Philip Grubauer placed on waivers? Obviously, not what was expected out of him when he got that big contract.
Yeah, I mean, we saw when it was really interesting at the time. Because you remember, Philip Grubauer had a really good time there in Colorado, and they end up making that move. They bring in Darcy Kemper, and the rest is history with them winning the cup. And Phil Grubauer never was really able to find his footing. It felt like in Seattle. I know that it was a new franchise. There's some growing pains that go along with that. But then we've also seen some other goalies come in there and quite frankly, just play better. And Joey Decord, and it's surprising. It's tough. I think it's really difficult to assess goaltending and how it's going to work. And you see guys that put up great numbers and they look really good in certain situations, but then when they become the man, something changes. And I don't really know what it is. Never played the position, but Philip Grubauer's one that just couldn't really ever get anything going there in Seattle. And this is a team that finds himself in an interesting spot. And yeah, I mean, this is it's tough for Philip Grubauer, and you hope the best for him if he's able to find his game and maybe latch on somewhere else.
You look at the Seattle Kraken right now and the position that they're in. The Vegas Golden Knights made the expansion franchise look so easy, and it's not. It's really tough to be an expansion franchise in any sport. What do you see Seattle doing down the stretch here? Do you think you're trying to hold on to some of these players, or do you think we might see some players on their way out?
Yeah, I mean, it's about them. It's about them just kind of continuing to develop and develop certain players. I mean, the fact is, they need center ice help, I believe. I mean, you've got, whether you got Veneers and Shane Wright, where he was drafted or what he was deemed to be when at that draft year. I mean, they're still waiting to see what some of these guys are. And I think that that trade for Kakko has been something that's been good for them, and he's still young enough to. They're trying to locate. All right, these are the guys. This is our pillars, our core group to move forward with. I just think right now, and unless they go on a real nice run of 5-6 games in a row, I mean, I think you're always looking to get better next year, and they're trying to create that culture there. Vegas made it very unfair of how we judge some of these expansion teams, but I think they're fine. They're taking steps, and they just got to keep trying to get young and get some of those guys part of their core, but they need center ice depth, I think, is their biggest thing.
Brandon Saad today waived by the St. Louis Blues, and hearing that the contract was terminated, so he's going to lose $5 million, and he was willing to do this for a chance to go play on a contender this year. 16 points in 43 games played, a -14 for those of you who believe in plus minus. What do you think he can offer to a team looking to compete for a Stanley Cup?
He's got experience. He's a guy that he's always had good feet, good legs, can create some different things. I feel like he's kind of been a player. It's a little bit self-sufficient, where if you put him on a third line, a fourth line, he can give an offensive spark. I don't know at this stage of the game if I wouldn't put him probably in your top 6, but if you had some injuries, he certainly could jump up there. I mean, he's played with some pretty special players over his career, and he's put up some numbers at different times. So I think it's worth it. I mean, you're going in, if you're a contender, you're going into the playoffs. You always see teams trying to grab 13, 14, 15th forwards. You're trying to grab defensemen. You're trying to grab anything you can, and injuries are always a thing, especially going deep in the playoffs. I like it, and I think this is a player betting on himself, and you got to give props to the organization and him trying to work this out. He just wants to play hockey and win a Stanley Cup.
Mike Rupp of the NHL Network joining us here. One more question before we let you go, Mike. Just looking at the Edmonton Oilers from your perspective, obviously, all of a sudden, first place in the Pacific now, and a chance to track down potentially even first place in the league. What have you thought of their play as of late, and now getting McDavid back into the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that I just think there's certain teams where you say, hey, talk to me come playoff time. And sometimes that's a negative thing, right? Like the Leafs, like we always talk about the Leafs, like, well, what are they going to do for me in the spring? For me, this isn't of the same mentality of that. It's just Edmonton, I think, is going to continue to climb and get better as the season goes on. I think they're going to peak at the right time, because we've seen them be a team that really thrives in the later stages of the season. So, getting Connor back is obviously huge. I'm really, really intrigued to see what this team has up their sleeve, potentially trade deadline time. I like them. I mean, for me, it's them, and I probably have Vegas. Those are the two teams. I think one of those two teams comes out of the West.
Yeah, I think I would be in agreement with you on that one. Well, Mike, thanks so much for doing this today. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you again next Wednesday.
Awesome, Connor. Enjoy, bud.
Thank you. There you go. Mike Rupp, former NHLer, NHL Network analyst, covers the Penguins, Stanley Cup champion, and good guy. Great having him on the program. Remember we had him on back in the day when that documentary came out about the Dansbury Trashers that he played for? I have to rewatch that one. That was actually pretty interesting. Wanye Gretz is here. He's just standing outside of our studio, so maybe we'll get him let in here. Some text coming in on Sammy Kapanen. Dell says, anyone remember that Darcy Tucker hit on Kapanen? Huge. Absolutely. I certainly do remember that one. It's actually funny when you go on YouTube and you put in Darcy Tucker, the first thing that pops up is Kapanen. So yeah, that's a big one. Murray and Regina texted in, when Kapanen scored against the Kraken on Monday, might be Canucks on Thursday. I called him Sammy. Yeah, Murray. Hey, I think it's just like showing our age, but Sammy is his father, which is wild. I thought maybe Kapanen might just be a popular name in Finland. And then I went to his Wikipedia page, and it's talking about his son playing for the Edmonton Oilers. So unless they're lying there, I don't know. Yeah, Sammy Kapanen also has the record for scoring 2 consecutive overtime game-winning goals in consecutive games. That was broken by Andrew Cogliano, unfortunately, but not too shabby. We got Wanya Gretz in here. We'll get to him in a second. And as we roll on the text line, 1-833-401-1440, Propane P says, man, Vegas gets away with everything. Stone hurt, but magically returns for game 83. Pundits say nothing to see here. Stone was really injured. Two-hand chops, best playoff performer. Pundits say that's not the type of player he is. Alice skips out on Four Nations. Is that what we're calling him? I'm going to call him Petrangelo. Skips out on Four Nations, which takes place at the All-Star Game. League says no problem. Stone shot blocks. Miro League says all good. Nothing to see here. Yeah, I mean, hey, the chop was big on the playoffs. Absolutely. Nasty. Probably could have given him a little bit more. And kind of a cop-out because they gave Nurse the suspension as well, right? Skipping out on the Four Nation, I don't care. That one doesn't bug me that much. The play yesterday with Heiskanen, I mean, Rupper knows way more than I do. He's probably forgot more about hockey than I'll ever know. But I don't know. I think he was trying to make contact of some sort in a situation where it just wasn't necessary. And this could potentially be an absolutely massive loss for the Dallas Stars. I didn't love it. Detroit and Leafs from Louis. Curious about what that means, Louis. Maybe follow one up here. 1-833-401-1440. We got on the topic of the Matrix briefly. They wanted Sean Connery to be Morpheus. Can you imagine the dojo fight scene with Will Smith fighting a 69-year-old Sean Connery? They really dodged a bullet. Lame pun intended. Those guys turned down those roles. Yeah. That would have been interesting. Would have been a totally different movie. Cal says Stone should have at least got a fine. Thought he dove at him with his arm extended. Yeah, I mean, if you're swinging at the puck with your stick, that's one thing. But then, I don't know. It was a really weird one for me. Manny says, Seattle fans, no expansion isn't easy. It took the Seahawks 35 years to win a championship. Yeah. But they got it. Chargers fans, Vikings fans, Bills fans would love that feeling. Although I will say the Chargers won an AFL championship. Played a beatdown on the Boston Patriots that people seem to forget about all the time. 1-833-401-1440. We'll keep your text rolling in here. People just wanting to follow up that the practice lines in practice are just practice. It doesn't mean that we're going to see a Bouchard, Klingberg pair. Matthias Ekholm, from what we've heard a little bit, we've seen players this week. Darnell Nurse missed practice, was able to go. Matthias Ekholm, maybe just staying away from the team. It is cold season. You never know exactly what's going around, but probably at this point, keeping guys away from each other. Darcy says, I'd like to know what's going on with Patrick Kane and his injury. Yeah. Keep these things a little bit under wraps at this point. Stone is a younger, more injury-prone Corey Perry. He is a female dog, but one every team would love to have. Oh, yeah. He's a fine offensive player, too. Yeah. You take him on your team in a second. I don't know if I agree that hit to the knee wasn't malicious from Lance. Yeah, it just kind of seemed like an unnecessary play. Like, maybe he wasn't trying to target the knee and get the result there, but it did seem to me like, what was going to come out of that? Best case scenario. You got to have a little respect for the common player. I think Miro Heiskanen, one of the good young players in the league, very good player, deserves a little more respect than that. IMAX says Stone's a scumbag. If you played any decent level sport, you know that. And Lost in Alberta says, Four Nations, all I want to see is Sweden, USA. Opening faceoff, JT, Miller, and Pedersen. Imagine if they just dropped the mitts. For national pride, of course. Wanye, what's going on?
Did you call them the Boston Patriots?
That's what they were at the time.
Really? When did they change?
I couldn't tell you. But I mean, New England, Foxborough is basically Boston, though.
It's hard to keep up, Connor.
Yeah, things changed. It was the San Diego Chargers at the time as well.
That I remembered.
That was the good old days. Suitcase says, Connor, do you think McDavid intended to cross-check Garland in the face? No. Do you believe he tried to hurt someone hurt to Heiskanen? No, but both are reckless plays and should be punished. Suitcase. Yeah, I'm not saying he shouldn't be punished. I never once said that. I thought it was like a totally unnecessary play. I've always thought personally, sometimes you should suspend or punish the action and not necessarily the result. We see cross checks from behind, high hits that don't result in broken necks and concussions. But I think if you want to get rid of those plays, maybe you have to suspend or fine the action and not wait for someone's career to end. So Suitcase, I'm I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think that he should be void of punishment on that play. I didn't like it either. Manny says Chargers, Vikings, Bills, a triad of despair. There's probably a few other ones out there. Detroit Lions. The Jets won, didn't they? I don't know. We don't need to go into that. That's just negative. Wanye, another day off for the Edmonton Oilers. Matthias Ekholm did not skate, nor did Kasperi. Don't call me Sammy Kapanen, as I called him.
I felt very old when you explained that was his dad. I too thought it was just a common name like Smith.
He played like 3 years ago.
Oh my God.
No, he didn't. He's 51. But it feels like he didn't retire that long ago.
What's the average age of a father in Finland?
I could not tell.
Maybe they're having him super young.
I would have had him at like 23. So pretty young. But yeah, you can afford it. Good
Might as
family.
well.
It worked out well.
Worked out well for everybody.
Very, very talented family there. Did you happen to see any social media of the Oilers with their charity event last night?
I have not. What happened?
Oh, just nothing. They just had like I think it was a fundraiser. They were playing poker and had video games set up. I'm like, how do I get in on that? That looks fun.
Interesting. Did you see that video that Oilers Nation posted of Connor meeting Lenny? His dog?
Meeting Lenny?
Like the first time they ever had him?
No, I
had him out in front where they picked him up and he was playing with him. That's my hockey news from the last 24 hours, Connor.
That's it?
Connor meeting Lenny.
Did you see the Mark Stone play on Miro Heiskanen?
No. What did he do?
Kind of torpedoed himself into the lower body of Heiskanen. Heiskanen might be done for a while. Like he did not look good as he needed help getting off the ice and down the tunnel.
You know what I watched today while I was working?
No.
A documentary about Russell Wilson so I can talk to Declan.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. What an idiot.
Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
Why?
Going through early with the Super Bowl win and riding high and then demanding an office in the coach's room when he went to Denver.
Yeah, that was
Throw
not
it all
very...
away. Yell at beast mode. Beast mode. He's a national icon.
Yeah.
Marry Ciara.
Well, Sierra's sick.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah, Russell Wilson, he's got a lot going on.
How does this career, now he's a Steeler, right?
Yeah.
Last year.
For the time being, yeah.
Did he play well last year? This thing didn't go up to present day. I don't know how it ends.
He helped get them into the playoffs. He wasn't ready for the start of the year. Justin Fields was the starting quarterback. Played okay, not bad. And then they went with Russell Wilson, got them into the playoffs. But
what's his outlook for next year?
Some people think Raiders because his coach in Seattle is Pete Carroll is now coaching the Raiders. So some people think maybe there's a connection.
And I know from my documentary that Pete Carroll was accused of favoritism when he had Russell Wilson as his quarterback.
Well,
he could do it again.
They can all join up in Vegas, Sin City.
Russell Wilson won't be tempted.
No, Russell Wilson will get Subway.
Yeah.
The Dangerous Sandwich. Have you
Mr.
seen these
Unlimited?
videos?
Of course. That's Mr. Unlimited. What nonsense.
Yeah. He was a little wild. We'll talk some NFL later on in the show. There's the Senior Bowl going on, which is essentially, I guess there's no NHL comparison. It's just the top prospects go and play a game in Mobile, Alabama, and scouts watch it.
Anybody highly touted?
A few. There always is. But you know what? What I always look at is, it's the Senior Bowl. So you have to be a senior in college. There's a lot of really good underclassmen, the juniors or the redshirt sophomores that go into the NFL. They're highly talented. So you get some good seniors and it can help. I'm sure a lot of careers have started because they attended this event. Maybe guys who were relatively unknown. There's actually a Canadian quarterback playing down there who's been to 3 CFL training camps and now tries to make the leap.
Senior Bowl has got to be some of the worst sports marketing I've ever heard in my life, Connor. I thought it was some sort of senior citizens alumni game. I wasn't thinking high school seniors. I was thinking gray-haired people.
College seniors.
College seniors.
It's presented by Reese's.
Of course.
So I love it. I would love to go one day.
Do you think it's a little bit demeaning that I didn't know about all these bowls until recently? Like the Cheez-It Bowl. Like, are you working out as a youth football player, dreaming one day of being in the Cheez-It Bowl and winning Defensive Player of the Game?
Yeah, why not?
Embarrassing.
It is cool because, you could go to the Bahamas Bowl, which isn't maybe the most prestigious bowl, but you get to go to the Bahamas for a few days.
But what about the Cheez-It Bowl specifically? Would you be excited to have the Cheez-Its dumped on your head as a coach as you're working late nights looking at film?
Have you heard of the Duke's Mayo Bowl?
Isn't that where the people eat all the mayonnaise?
And the coach gets mayo poured on them?
I'd rather mayo than Cheez-Its.
There's a chance that Bill Belichick could get a big thing of mayo poured on him.
Cheez-Its to me is demeaning. Mayo, it's a tradition.
Is this now Liam or Declan? This is Wanye Gretz from Oilers Nation. Did I not introduce you?
You did.
Okay.
Declan's over here.
Declan's there. Liam, you want to yell something? Hi. Well, he's in the background. We're all in here.
The whole band.
Yeah. We all sound the same, I assume.
We should all have different accents and affectations so people can tell us apart.
Well, Declan, didn't you get compared to somebody? Was that going on in the Lowdown Flow Tide today?
Yeah, a couple times people have said me and Liam sound similar. And then, occasionally when Donovan's on the show, one of us will say something and, someone will text in, oh, that's a great point, Declan, or that's a great point, Donovan. And it's the other one of us speaking. So I think from now on, moving forward, I'm just going to have to start saying Declan here before I say anything, just to really make sure there's no mix-ups.
Well, I don't think so. I think you're good. Unfortunately, Liam has the intern status and has to do that. He has to change his voice.
For simplicity, Connor, could you talk with a Southern accent?
Me? No.
Just so they can tell us all apart.
I don't have to do that.
Just a Southern accent.
I'm past that.
You're the high man, the totem pole. You
Yeah.
get to speak Midwestern Canadian.
I get to just speak like myself.
Interesting.
I used to get compared to Brennan Clack, who now works at Ched as a producer.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. That was my vocal doppelganger. So I'm intrigued to see it happening with other people here.
I can always tell when it's Declan talking because I usually don't understand what he's talking about. That's how I tell us apart.
That's the indicator. Kai. Oh, wait, it's Wanye. Never mind. There we go.
Thank you.
Flagger fan says, would the Senior Bowl have its main sponsor as Depends?
One day, soon enough.
It could happen. And Lance says Raiders are trying to trade up for Shadir Sanders. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know.
You think they bring his dad in to be the coach for the storylines? I could see it.
Well, Pete Carroll's the coach, so
that's
maybe he could come in as some sort of assistant.
They plugged it.
Diaz says Wanye sounds like a mix of Fergie and Jesus.
Ooh.
That's high praise.
He could also go to Dallas, right? Coach Prime now?
They hired a coach too.
They hired Coach
Schottenheimer.
Schottenheimer.
All the doors are being slammed in his face. Who's left?
Nobody.
No one.
Colorado.
Maybe
back to the Buffaloes.
Maybe Jacksonville, if Liam Cohen has another Duval moment, they might let him go early. But other than that, he's going back to Colorado.
If we've learned anything from Bronny James, Declan, it's that nepotism pays.
Did you watch the game last night, by the way? 0 for 5 in 13 minutes, got cooked by Tyrese Maxey every time he was on the court. It was so tough to watch.
But down in the G League, he's a G.
No, he's playing well. He's putting up like 13 a night, 13-4-4-ish, 13-4-3. He's playing well in the G League, but stepping him up to play Tyrese Maxey, guard Tyrese Maxey on a nationally televised game, it was not a good look for Bronny. And JJ Redick even came out and said like, it was probably too high profile of a spot, but he's getting better.
I read that the quote was like, maybe we rushed him, flying him in. Like, oh no, if we're factoring those sorts of things in, we're in a tough spot.
Some people saying Bronny is kind of the Antoine Lander equivalent. Great in the the developmental league.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the NHL or NBA level.
Give him time.
I'm hearing rumors. 4 points, 45 minutes for Bronny from Triple C in a truck. Let's take a break. When we come back, we are actually going to go down to the AHL level. We're going to be joined by the voice of the Bakersfield Condors, Ryan Holt. We'll talk about the Oilers affiliates and what's going on down there. That's coming up next here on the Jason Gregor Show. Halley, Wanye, Declan, Liam with you here at the UL Studios from West Edmonton Mall on Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, and X. Sports 1440 brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Some might like to play hide and seek or even that Where's Waldo game. But out of sight, out of mind is never something GS Construction ever says. Yes, what's underground might be out of sight for everyone, but it's never out of mind for GS Construction because it's not fun and games ensuring Edmonton's underground infrastructure works for you. We take our job very seriously, and even though we may look like we're pretending to be groundhogs, we're really keeping things running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
It's a new year, and The Brick is clearing out their old inventory. They're blowing out furniture for up to 60% off the original price, with in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts. Check out your nearest Brick location to save up to $1,300 off sofas, up to 25% off bedroom and dining, and up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, more deals in every department. It's a new year, and The Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Exclusions apply. The Brick, saving you more.
Hey, it's Andrew Walker, host of the Cross Mitsubishi pregame show, which you can check out before all the games this season. A big thank you to Cross Mitsubishi for their support. We are Sports 1440, Edmonton Sports Leader.
Every nickel that you don't pay in interest is a nickel back in your pocket. So make a 0% interest deal with your friends at St. Albert Dodge. Right now, you can drive away in Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the 2025 Ram 1500, with 0% financing. There's a great selection, over 100 on the lot. Or if you'd like to get some cash back to pay off your credit cards and start the year fresh, they can help you with that too. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Mr. Rooter makes a prank phone call.
It's ringing.
Hello?
Hello there. Is your faucet running?
Yeah, actually it is. I have this really annoying drip.
Oh, you'll want to check for mineral buildup or corrosion. Otherwise, it's likely a defective gasket or O-ring. I got him good.
Mr. Rooter, you're the worst at this.
For lousy punchlines and immaculate water lines, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's AquaCentral reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Diablo Boots and Canada West, the 2 best names in work, biker, and western boots. Diablo has been selling quality Canadian boots for over 60 years, from size 6E to 15EE. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Redwing, and Dakota, when Diablo Boots has the best quality for less? Made in Winnipeg. Plus, all of Diablo Boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So save on boots by Save on Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save on Foods.
Hey, 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 your lipstick stains.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the PWHL Takeover Tour, featuring a matchup between the Toronto Scepters and Ottawa Sharks Sunday, February 16th at Rogers Place. Premium seating is now available. Check out the available suites, theater boxes, and loge tables. Head to rogersplace.com/PWHL.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Decided who's one of my kind.
Still here on Sports 1440, Connor Halley, Juan Yeager, Stefan Kruger, Liam Peace, the EWL studios in West Edmonton Mall. The Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Right now, you can use promo code Gregor50 with your deposit, get a $50 free play. Also tonight, we've got 649 worth $26 million. Tickets available at PlayAlberta.ca. Don't forget to use your game sense. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line if you want to get in on the conversation. Right now, we're going to get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. The Volvo Cars winter event is here. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $4,500 only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. We head down to Bakersfield, so we're joined by the voice of the Condors, Ryan Holt. Ryan, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon. Game day here in Condorstown. Start of a 6-game homestand, so nothing better. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing really good. Looking forward to that. So I've been following along with you guys on social media this season. You do a great job, Ryan. So we appreciate that from up here for those of you who can't tune in all the time. Let's start off with just the health of the team. Can we get a rundown of the injury report for the Condors right now?
Yeah, I would. Let's start with the longest injury, Roby Arventi. I'd say that's long term, not close. Lane Peterson, not close. Max Warner, Matvey Petrov have started skating, at least in no contact jerseys. So that usually means, maybe a week or two. So maybe after, the All-Star break comes for us Sunday through Wednesday, and then we're home on the 7th and 8th. So maybe a target date for those two. Connor Carrick was away. His father-in-law passed. He's been gone for the last week, but he'll be back in the lineup tonight. And Derek Ryan will make his Condors debut tonight as well too against Henderson. So getting DR back in is a boost for this team. Obviously, a gifted NHL player and a guy at this level that certainly is able to not only provide the experience but also the skill at this level as well too. So excited for him. He's excited to be here, excited to be around the guys, and I think that's the latest on the injury report. So yeah, not great news on obviously Peterson and Järventie, but better news I think on Warner and Petrov here next week or two.
Yeah, tough for Järventie, only getting into 2 games so far this season. So Derek Ryan, where is he going to slot into the lineup?
So he'll be on our what we call the second line, but it's Seth Griffith's line. So the 2 veterans with Cameron Wright, probably the guy on that side that probably complements both of those players well. Wright being a shooter, and Griffith and Ryan kind of being the workhorses, and obviously the setup guy from Griffith. I think they don't want to touch the Hamlin, Kajula, Savoy line. It's been probably the best line in the AHL, at least in the Pacific. The last couple of weeks, and what Hamlin's done for Savoy's game and what Kajula's meant for Savoy's game, they kind of leave that top line alone. So that'll be the top 2 scoring lines for the team tonight.
Ryan Holt joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, voice of the Bakersfield Condors. What have you seen in terms of growth when it comes to Matthew Savoy? Obviously played 6 games with the Americans previously, but now a full-timer in the AHL.
Yeah, I think first off, you start with his maturity and confidence. I think for Matt Savoy, even when he first arrived, in Bakersfield, and maybe the points weren't coming, but everyone was kind of looking at his game saying he's playing pretty well. Like the opportunities are there, the chances are there. He had Noah Philp and Drake Kajula early on. Peterson came back, and with Peterson he kind of took off, and now with Hamlin he's certainly taken off as well too. I think his game overall, it's slowing down. The game is itself for him at this level. And I think he's a guy that, is he probably here the full year? Probably. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I just think, it's an opportunity for him to continue to grow this year. He's got one of the highest point totals for a 20-year-old that, we've had in the American Hockey League. I think, Benson outrates him, but I think just in terms of his overall game, he's on the power play, he's killing penalties, he's playing 20 minutes a night. He's doing everything that's been asked of him. And I've been really impressed with him just off the ice as well as on the ice. I think he's got a great head on his shoulders. I see the same type of attributes off the ice that I do in a Dylan Holloway when he was here. Just a confident, charismatic personality type of kid. That's come in and had an impact. And, he's our best player more often than not every night, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, going to the AHL All-Star game, very cool for him. And I know people up here are very excited about the potential of Matthew Savoy. How about Matvey Petrov, the second year with the Condors? Last year had 9 goals, this year 8 goals, 22 less games. So the production seems to be getting a little bit better there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he had the injury in Colorado a couple of weeks ago. So that'll probably set him back here. If he comes back next week, I'd give him, probably 2 weeks to get back up to where he was. Mm-hmm. He had the injury at the end of last year that kind of set him back, I think, to start the season. Didn't have a great training camp early on, had to work himself kind of into that fitness that, he's probably 3 or 4 months behind, honestly, with the injury. But boy, he turned it on, kind of in that early December, basically all of December window. Leading into the new year, was a point per game guy for about 15 games, which is great. Had the injury in Colorado that's, set him back a little bit, but the fitness shouldn't take a hit. He's been able to work out and able to, stay in the gym. He started skating this week, so that's a positive, but it's a big year for him. It'll be a big finish to the season for him. And the opportunity is there. You mentioned Savoy, and then after Savoy, you kind of got to, plinko your way down and try and figure out, what's next. And there isn't, a ton there. So if he can, carve out a role here, he could find himself on that, say Griffith line, in that second line and be a guy that, can contribute, 15 minutes a night and contribute offensively in all situations.
Ryan Holt joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, voice of the Condors. They take on Henderson tonight. How about between the pipes, Olivier Rodrigue? For whatever reason, there's a lot of goaltending discussion here up in Edmonton, and some people interested in Rodrigue and thinking, at what point is he going to get an opportunity? What have you seen from him this year? And then, guys, in general, even further with his development.
I mean, he's a second rounder that's gone through 3 general managers now, I believe, right? I mean, he was drafted by Chiarelli and Ken Holland and now Stan Bowman and signed by all, right? Like, a guy who's, been entrusted in a lot of different situations and he's in a different role now than he was, last year. He's in a different role than he was 2 years ago, with Skinner and then with Pickard. He's the guy here. There's a veteran netminder with Delia, kind of playing the stopgap role, if you will, with him. And Delia's been good here of late too. But for Ollie, it's composure. He competes. He's a guy who is always looking to make the next save. And, it might be a 3-3 game in the third. He's going to keep you in it and give you a chance. Or it could be a 1-0 game in the third and he's going to close the door on the opposition. And we saw that, Sunday against Coachella, 30 on 32, his best period was at the third period, gave the team a chance to win. Team closed it out at the end. And that was a positive sign. I think with Ollie, what you're getting every single night. He's going to compete. He's going to give you, at the AHL level, he's going to give you 9-1-5 to 9-2-0 a night. And at the end of the day, if you score 3, you're probably going to win the hockey game. So, I think he's a restricted free agent at the end of the year. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be, the de facto, number one playing, 50 plus games next year, and pushing for NHL opportunity. You need 3 netminders. Rodrigue is there waiting in the wings right now.
Ryan, any prospects for the Oilers kind of flying under the radar that you've been impressed with this season?
Yeah, I think the big story is Savoy and right. He needed to hit, right. And this needed to be a season for him of, rookie dominance, if you will, at the AHL level. And he's the top scoring or second top scoring rookie, basically the top scoring 20-year-old in the league. That's exactly what you wanted to see. I think the organization has done a nice job here trying to put in some players here that have come from other organizations, maybe need another opportunity. I look at Jacob Perreault here of late. He's got 10 points in 19 games, a first-round pick out of Anaheim. You have to kind of fill the funnel a little bit because of all the trades that have happened over the last couple of years, which is, to be quite frank, depleted the prospect pool. Just in terms of guys that you've drafted, you've used them as trade bits the last couple of seasons, and as a result, we've had to get creative here in Bakersfield with how to fill out a roster. And you add in the injuries, that hasn't helped as well too. So excited for Petrov and wanting to get back. It's a big stretch for them, I think, down the second half of the year. Those will kind of be the next, green arrows that need to move forward, I think. And, after that, I think, you've seen the prospect that kind of went up. That's Noah Philp, right? Mm-hmm. That's a homegrown guy from 2 years ago under Colin Chalk and, takes a year away and then comes back and doesn't miss a beat this year. So I think, if you had the questions going into the season, I think it was, where does Noah Philp slot in and where does Matt Savoy do? What does Matt Savoy do in the American Hockey League? Well, turns out Philp has been pretty good and basically full-time in the NHL now. And Savoy is pushing for that opportunity, barring an injury or something up there in the NHL as well, too.
Excellent. Well, Ryan, thanks so much for doing this today. Really appreciate it and have a great call tonight.
Thanks, Connor. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
There you go. Ryan Holt, voice of the Condors Oilers AHL affiliate. That's the Oil Report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Check them out online, volvocarsedmonton.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Tyler Uremchuk in studio of Oilers Nation and Daily Face-Off. It is the Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll get to a Sports 1440 update with Declan Kruger brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring HVAC installers and plumbers. Starting bonus to the right candidates. Strong benefits. RRSP matching tuition reimbursement. You can apply today at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, 5 games tonight in the NHL. It all gets going with 3 games at 5 o'clock. The Wild in Toronto taking on the Leafs. Kings in Florida taking on the Panthers. And Philadelphia in New Jersey taking on the Flyers. In the NBA today, we do have 11 games on the schedule. That one gets going with 4 games at 5 p.m. Brooklyn and Charlotte, Detroit and Indiana, and of course the Toronto Raptors in action. They're on the road in Washington taking on the Wizards. Nationally televised games, we'll see the Nuggets in New York taking on the Knicks, and the Oklahoma City Thunder and Golden State taking on the Warriors. News from earlier today, the St. Louis Blues have agreed to a mutual contract termination with Brandon Saad shortly after the veteran forward went unclaimed on waivers. Flyers goaltender Samuel Ersson will replace injured New Jersey Devils netminder Jacob Markstrom, on Team Sweden for the Four Nations face-off. And in the baseball world, the Tampa Bay Rays and infielder Ha-Sung Kim are in agreement on a 2-year, $29 million deal, according to Jeff Hassan. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Getting your vehicle sparkling clean doesn't have to cost a fortune. Take it into Hughes today and pay just loonies a wash.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthews. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Elevate your game with the Basketball Show, hosted by me, Paul Sir. Tune in Saturday mornings at 10 for expert insights, exclusive interviews, and the latest hoops action. It happens right here on Sports 1440.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the Power Play 24/7 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
When picking a New Year's resolution, try to avoid things you have no influence over.
Like bringing home the cup? That would be awesome.
But completely outside your control. Instead, pick something you can control, like bringing home some Wilhauk beef jerky.
That would also be awesome. But what if we brought the cup home to Canada and it was filled with Wilhauk beef jerky?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wilhauk beef jerky, only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win cups with salad.
90 days? You're telling me I can buy a 2024 or 2025 Buick or GMC from Wolf GMC Buick and make no payments for 90 days? Whoa. And you're telling me there's more? It's the final days of GMC's employee pricing on remaining 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons? Clearly now is the time to buy a new vehicle. I'm heading to Wolf GMC Buick, corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road. It's mere seconds east of the Anthony Henday.
Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Get set for another exciting year at Century Casino. 3 great locations: Century Casino Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile. Forget the cold. Things are heating up this January with live concerts and comedy, Oilers watch parties, so many enticing dining options, plus daily food and drink features. Bring all your friends or make it a date night. Join the fun and beat those winter blues at Century Casino.
Welcome to the Winter Zone.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services. For all your residential needs, call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
This what I want to do. Take off that
306, welcome back. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Also, Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Wanye Gratz, Liam Peace in the studio here. The Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tonight, a lot of $649, $26 million. You can get your ticket at PlayAlberta.ca. Make sure to use your game sense right now. Let's go in the room. We're all in the room here together. They're brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net. Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff joins us. Ty, good afternoon. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, happy to be here. I was on my way home, so I figured why not?
How was the drive in? Sloppy?
Yeah, it's gross. It's that time where you can't wash your vehicle, right? Because then like 6 minutes later, it's screwed again.
I saw a huge lineup at the car wash on Monday.
What are they doing?
I don't know. Do you have to shovel?
Oh yeah, I got a shovel.
Do you shovel one yet?
Oh yeah.
Did you do it yet?
Oh yeah. I always need to do it before you go over it with the tie, and then it's just a mess. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's heavy snow today too.
Our Tyler's particular.
Well, I'm with them.
A little bit.
Okay. I pull on the side of the road. I go out, shovel my path into the driveway, and then I finish
Drive
off
in.
after.
Smart man.
Yeah, you don't want the lines there.
No.
They linger.
Admit to a homeowner neuroses that you have, Tyler. Admit to something on the air that you're like, even as I do this, I feel a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I think about that. One thing that just drove me nuts the other day. I was in Jasper for the Jasper Pond Hockey Tournament, and that weekend was street clearing week, right? They're going to come with the grader, pick up all the packed down snow, all that. Someone on my street parked in front of my house, did not move their car on street grader day. And so now there's like this awkward jut out where it was not graded in front of my house. And now that person obviously won't park there anymore, is back to parking in front of their own house where it is scraped. It's making me so mad.
Was that like a high IQ move by that person?
Just park on your driveway.
Or
I
was
know,
it a coincidence?
I know who it is. They have a driveway.
Yeah.
They could have parked there. Furthermore, if you knew you were going to be parked on the street for street shoveling day or street scraping day, park in front of your own house. And then you can look at the weird island of packed snow. It drove me nuts.
See, I think that qualifies as a homeowner neuroses.
I
Well
think
done.
so. Yeah,
Right on the money.
Very annoying.
Do you have one, Wanye?
No, I'm chill.
Fireworks.
Except for that one time you had a war with 18 mice.
There's that. I've been sued by 2 people on my block and won against both of them.
2-0.
That's what. Well, 3-0. One appealed and I beat them too.
Oh, 3-peat.
I got an Oilers Nation hot tub and my neighbor decided it was too loud and took me to bylaw court. And they were like, "Is this a special kind of hot tub, sir?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, we find in favor of the defendant." And then they appealed it to the Supreme Court of bylaw. Won there too.
3-0. That's probably why no one's tried again.
That's
They're
right.
like,
I sent a message. But you've had all sorts. I've listened on our podcast that we do real life that you have had snow clearing drama at level 10 on your block.
Yeah, I mean, we've had bylaw involved. I've had police officers come into my house so I can like give them and tell them what's going on.
What?
I had neighbors that were like shoveling. They were so mad at each other, but where they were parking their vehicles, they were shoveling each other's snow onto the other one's driveway. It's crazy stuff, man. Like I would just wake up in the morning and look outside and be like, what are these yahoos doing today? And it was just like, whatever, putting each other's garbage bins and boxing in each other's vehicles on the street with them, like crazy stuff.
But you were thrilled secretly to watch the drama unfold. This is why you bought a home. It's for the pride of ownership.
Yeah, there is a part of me when people are like, oh, like I went over to my neighbor's house on the weekend. I'm like, that's cool. I know none of their names, but they scream at each other on Saturday morning sometimes.
Jeez.
I would like to have one neighbor who I'm friends with. I had one. He moved away, so now I'm on an island all alone. But I would like to have one that I'm close with. But I guess the drama is a decent runner-up option.
I'd sooner have a theater.
I woke up today. My neighbor to the left shoveled the mutual sidewalk, neighbor to the right did the same thing. All I had to do was the driveway.
Oh, that's nice.
No stress.
Where do you live? Kindness Town?
Yeah.
Northwest Edmonton, I'll say.
Bragging.
I don't want to dox myself. I don't want to have, people showing up or anything. Ty, let's get to the Edmonton Oilers because I'm trying to make a way to segue into this, but they're just playing good hockey. They fall to the Capitals without Connor McDavid. I'll take that. 3-2, pretty good. McDavid returns, gets back on the score sheet. They get a couple of days off here before taking on the Detroit Red Wings. But right now, any storylines that are standing out for you when it comes to the Oil?
What's standing out? I mean, first off, going 2-1 in 3 games without Connor McDavid is absolutely nothing to complain about. I think what's interesting right now is, and this was a big topic yesterday on Oilers Nation Radio, because we were debating, look how they're treating Jeff Skinner, and then why does Janmark keep getting moved up even though he wasn't scoring all year and all this stuff. And we came to the consensus that we're very bored as a fan base.
Yeah.
There's actually nothing that real to complain about or to even debate. It's okay, they have 13 good NHL forwards and 1 good NHL forward has to sit every game. And on the blue line, maybe it's not perfect right now, but it's very serviceable. And their coach has them playing a great system and their goaltending's been average this year. I don't know. I just think right now with this team, they're just cruising. And I'm not sure if we as a collective fan base and media conglomerate know how to handle a truly successful team yet.
And I've kind of battled with that today. What is there to talk about the Edmonton Oilers that, might fire people up? But there's not a whole lot. Things are actually pretty good. Matthias Ekholm didn't practice today. Well, he's probably just a little injured, sick, nothing serious.
Yeah.
It's nothing serious. Klingberg gets on the ice with Bouchard. Part of me for the madness wants to see that duo play together. I don't know if it'll happen. Klingberg, we got to assume, gets into the lineup sooner than later.
I think it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, the problem that he had on Monday seems to be cleared up. Fair expectations for him. The bar for me is quite low.
Yeah, the bar for me is low, and I think my dream scenario is that when we get to night 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, John Klingberg is your very reliable number 7. The guy who, if someone gets hurt, you're not sitting there and wincing going, oh God, we have to play that guy, right? Right now, if they were to run with the 6 that they have and someone were to get hurt, I mean, let's even just take Klingberg out of the equation. The 6 they have now and someone gets hurt, it's oh boy, you're playing Josh Brown. I don't want to play Josh Brown in the playoffs. And then if it's just Klingberg and someone gets hurt, it's okay, you're playing Troy Stetcher. I'm kind of okay with that, but I think I'd like another layer of depth. If Klingberg can come in and play well, and then you go get another defenseman at the deadline, and it's okay, you have 6 D-men that you love. You have this project in Klingberg that worked out, and if someone gets hurt, he's a really good number 7. That's my bar here. The people who are throwing stuff out there, that Jordan Schmaltz guy or whatever, who was hey, if Klingberg shows he can run the power play, Paul Almeida tweeted this too. Do you take calls on Evan Bouchard? No, that would be a really, really dumb thing to do, to take a 30-whatever-year-old who hasn't played hockey in 14 months and be well, his first 15 games were just so darn adequate that we're going to trade Evan Bouchard. That would be stupid. The bar should not be that high. He will not be better than Evan Bouchard, but he can be better than Troy Stetcher.
Yeah. People were texting that in, and even people now, are the Bouchard trade rumors true? No. Maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, it puts it up 0.0002%. And okay, yeah, he's played well. But why would you trade away Evan Bouchard at this point? Wouldn't make much sense to me for this one. But a lot of people have kind of thrown that one out there. Inconsistency is in his game. I mean, that's kind of expected. Had a hard time, hasn't scored a power play goal yet this year, which obviously isn't ideal. But for Evan Bouchard, I mean, he's shown what he can do. We've seen him in the Stanley Cup final looking like he fits in, minimizing the defensive lapses. Where do you come out on Bouchard, long term? He's still just 25 years old. He's going to need another contract.
Yep.
Are you bridging? Are you going long term? What's your ideal contract for Evan Bouchard?
I mean, my ideal contract is a good 8x8 extension. I think that would be a massive, massive win for the Oilers. That's not going to happen. Evan Bouchard's going to command more money. His arbitration case is way too strong. It's going to be a really, really tough negotiation, but I do think it's time to go long-term with this guy, especially with the fact that the cap is shooting up $9 million this year, maybe another 9 the next year. Who knows how much the year after that? We're talking in 3-4 seasons here when it would be the middle point of that Evan Bouchard long-term deal. Is the cap up $30 million? Is Evan Bouchard at $9.5 million? Let's say they give him the Darnell Nurse deal. Yeah. What is that? 7% of your cap at that point? When Nurse signed his extension, he was worth 11 point something % of the salary cap. For Bouchard to get that now, That's basically 10.75, almost an $11 million contract with the cap at 97 mil, whatever the math works out to. So again, he's due for a significant raise. The Oilers would be dumb to not give it to him. And people can sit there and, again, we've lost the plot here. This is full on the Darnell Nurse thing now, right? Remember last year, it'd be like, even if he had 2 or 3 good games, as soon as there was one mistake, everyone in the crowd, everyone on Twitter, look at Darnell, worst contract. We'd be winning so many more games without him. And now this year, it's totally gone. Darnell Nurse was awful against the Seattle Kraken the other day. You did not hear a peep about it because everyone's moved on to the new favorite whipping boy, and now it's Evan Bouchard. I love these numbers that Jay Fresh put out the other day. Evan Bouchard, when he's on the ice without either McDavid or Draisaitl, this season, the Oilers are getting 57% of the shots and 53% of the goals. So when Bouchard's on the ice without one of the big dogs, the Oilers are outshooting and outscoring the other team. Does he make defensive lapses? Sure. But at the end of the day, there are still more positive things happening than negative things happening when Evan Bouchard is on the ice. So again, an egregious mistake here or there. I likened it to earlier in his career when people would get so mad at Leon Draisaitl for his body language. Oh my God, he's slouched over. He changes so slow. He takes lazy penalties. And it's like, but he scores 50 plus goals every year. So why are we really going to complain about that? And that's what it is with Bouchard. He is an elite defender off the rush. He is an elite puck mover, an elite power play quarterback who fits in perfectly with the group you have right now. And you're going to run him out of town because he's had a subpar 50 games. He's also a guy who has always elevated in the playoffs. So everyone will run to make that excuse for Matthias Janmark. He scored 1 goal now on a goaltender this season. 1 goal and then an empty netter. And everyone will say, yeah, but you want him in the playoffs. Look how much better he is in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Evan Bouchard's been their best defenseman in the playoffs, multiple playoff runs now. How come no one's sitting here when Bouchard has a rough 50 games going, he'll be better in the playoffs. He's always better in the playoffs. No one's making that excuse for him. The treatment of Bouchard by a big portion of this fan base is quite honestly embarrassing.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, for one, how many clutch goals did he score in the playoffs as well?
They don't beat Vancouver without Evan Bouchard.
Exactly. Like he was very good in the playoffs, minimized the mistakes. And I just think as time goes on, the game's going to slow down even more for him.
Yeah.
Those lapses, they'll go away. Make the safer pass out of his own end. Maybe go glassing out rather than try to put it up the middle. I just think as time goes on, this guy's just going to get better and better. Liam H. texting in. I wish Tyler had a daily show I could listen to. He's got great takes.
Oilers Nation every day, live every day at noon on the Oilers Nation YouTube.
That's your co-host texting in.
Oh, that was Liam. I didn't catch the name.
Liam H. I was going to let him fly a little under the radar there. And we've had people texting and they're like, bridge Bouchard, bridge him. And I just take you back, like Leon Draisaitl got the big deal. For how many years was that the best value deal in the NHL? Nathan McKinnon was in there as well.
And also, what did you do with Darnell Nurse?
And that was my next one.
You bridged one too far. How much does this fan base love Darnell Nurse right now if Ken Holland and company, the first time they had to sign him, said, you know what? We're going to bite the bullet and give you 8x6. And he was playing for $6 million right now. It'd be perfect. People want to talk up both sides of their mouths, right? They want every player to be a value contract, but then they never want to take the leap to get there. Oscar Klefbom signs. At first, it's like you're committing how much money to a guy who's only played 100 games or whatever it was, and then it was a tremendous value contract.
Yeah.
Like Leon Draisaitl, at the time he signed that, people killed Peter Chiarelli. It was like, look at Nathan McKinnon, look at David Pastrnak, look at all these comparables. These are awful. But the reality was the only way to get Leon Draisaitl to commit to Edmonton for 8 years was to pay him $8.5 million. They did it, and they were rewarded. Do the exact same thing with Evan Bouchard.
Yeah. And I mean, Darnell Nurse bridged twice, right? Even the second time, like, even if it was like $7 million, like you made that leap, a couple million less, I feel like, well, one, the criticism's a lot less, and then obviously a little more cap space. Okay, well, let's get to the text line here. Lots running in here. Some long ones here.
Why? Well. What did we talk about?
The Bouchard talk, firing people up. Soggy Corp says, a double dose of your M-check? Hell yeah. Defend that defender. Boys, we are looking at this completely wrong. With all his play this year, I disagree completely that he's 8x8. I think it's a year when we see a decent bridge deal, giving him the opportunity to stabilize his game and earn a Nurse type deal. He needs to earn it. But why not get that a couple years early for cheaper then? Why give him 2 more years to potentially go point per game, improve his defensive game, and then you got to pay him an extra $3 million per year or whatever it's going to be?
So again, with the way the cap is going, a high-end puck-moving defenseman who puts up the numbers that Evan Bouchard does and defends off the rush the way Evan Bouchard does and gets out of his zone the way Evan Bouchard does, that is going to be worth 10 to 12% of your cap. At whenever you want to sign him long-term, just pencil that in, 10 to 12%. You can sign him now for 10 to 12% of your cap, which is, again, 10, maybe 9.5, maybe 9. I think 9 is probably a pretty fair number for everybody. Or you can wait 2 or 3 years after you bridge him, when he will then have the luxury of the open market, the pending UFA, where any team can bid whatever they want for his services. And at that point, get ready, because you'll have to pay him 10 to 12% of a salary cap. That is $106, $107 million, maybe even more. And that's a lot more than $12 million. So again, it's just, if you don't want Evan Bouchard and don't want to pay him, some other organization will sit there. How about this? Over the last 2 Stanley Cup playoffs, Evan Bouchard has 49 points. Second on that list, Wanya was about to say it. Second on the list has 28. He has 21 more points than the next productive defenseman. If you want to go by points per game, because you go, the Oilers have just played a lot, that's why. He is 1.32 points per game in the playoffs. Second on the list, Cale Makar, 1.18. Defensemen who've played over 10 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs and have averaged more than 1 point per game over the last 2 seasons. It's Bouch, it's Makar, it's Hedman, and it is nobody else.
I was going to drop all those facts, but
I see it on your laptop right there.
Like, what more do people need to see from him? And again, there are blemishes in his game. There are mistakes that he makes. And you don't think when I'm sitting at Rogers Place with my Oilers jersey on and he fumbles the puck up the middle and the other team gets a scoring chance, do I not sit there and go, what are you doing, Evan Bouchard? Because in the moment, it's very frustrating. But then you take a step back after the game and you go, okay, they had a couple of chances off an Evan Bouchard mistake, sure. But Evan Bouchard made 3 good plays at the blue line and directed 10 pucks towards the net and picked up a point. And when he was on the ice, the Oilers outscored the other team 2-1. So why are we upset?
LB says, no room for Bouchard. We need the room to sign Rantanen. Later, skater. LB. Did you see those reports from Cam and Strick yesterday?
So my favorite part of that clip from Andy Strickland is when he makes Cam Jansen do all the guessing. He's like, who do you think we're talking, or who do you think he's going to go to? Who do you think he could go to? All of this kind of stuff. And then he goes, the Oilers. And then his co-host goes, how would they work it in cap-wise? And Andy Strickland goes, oh, don't ask me that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, so you just baselessly decided to throw that out there and then you have no way to back it up. Like, would the Edmonton Oilers be interested in Mikko Rantanen? Yeah, every team would. He's a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer in the prime of his career who's going to hit unrestricted free agency. He's going to cost you a lot. Can the Oilers make $14 million work? They actually surprisingly could. It would take some crafty maneuvering and some young players coming up on ELCs next year to help you out. But like, yeah, you could ditch Evander Kane's last year, find someone to take that, trade Victor Arvidsson. There's your $9 million. And yeah, you can make it work because there's enough pieces on this lineup playing for less than they're worth, the goaltending, some other spots like that. You can make it work. Do I think they will? No. I think they have other needs they need to fill, and I don't think Mikko Rantanen's going to sign here. I think he's going to stay in Carolina.
And I wouldn't blame him. Good team, great weather, competitive.
All his fellow Finns.
There's a lot of reasons to stay there.
They can offer him an 8th year. So again, you do the math on that. Like if Carolina, who has like $30+ million in cap space, if Carolina sits there and goes, we are going to give you $14 million times 8 years, that is 8, 16, 24, 32. That's $112 million on an 8-year deal. What does Edmonton have to do on a 7-year deal to get all the way up to $112 million? It's significant. 112 divided by 7. I'm using a calculator now, so I am cheating. $16 million a year. He can get the same amount of guaranteed money signing an 8-year deal in Carolina that Edmonton would have to offer him $16 million a year for. It's just, I think he's a lock to stay in Carolina. I think that 8th year and all the other things that come with it, the chance to be the guy in Carolina as well, I think would be very tempting to him. Again, he has a ring. Everyone knows what he can do in a system with other superstars. He can win and he can produce at crazy high rates. But what does it do for him as the guy in Carolina?
Yeah. Drew says, quite impressive to be giving our best point producing D-man the gears every game and the team is 3rd place in the league. Bravo, Oil Nation. It's true. We talked about there's not much to complain about, but we'll find a way.
And that's exactly it. Like, again, if they were 2 points out of a playoff spot and Evan Bouchard was playing terribly and they were getting caved when he was on the ice and he was barely surviving in the minutes, then like, sure, that I would understand the hate. The fact that, again, he puts up the numbers that he does, the play goes the way it does when he's on the ice, and the Oilers are, what are they, 6 points back of being the top team in the NHL? Yeah, that's correct. Okay, let's all take a deep breath here.
Point up in the division.
Before we trade a top 10 pick who's a 25-year-old defenseman who's been one of the best playoff performers over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. Love it. I mean, this has gone on forever. I can remember this going back to Tom Pody.
Well, yeah.
It's always someone.
And like the Oilers trade Jeff Petrie when he was young, and because it was determined that he isn't going to be able to play at the NHL level. And then what was it? 3 years later, we're all sitting here going, boy, wouldn't you love a defenseman like Jeff Petrie?
Yeah.
It's the exact same conversation, the exact same thing happening over and over again.
And shout out to Low Tide, because he was the one guy I can remember saying, don't trade Petrie.
Yeah.
Tom Pody had dietary restrictions before that was a thing. So when we all found out, remember that, how he could only eat like a couple things on the menu, and they made mention of it. And that's all we could focus on as Oilers fans for a long time.
Really?
Was it Tom Pody could only eat like unseasoned chicken?
Yeah, they talked about that. He would have McDonald's before every game.
Tom Pody?
Because, the night before, because he couldn't risk things on the road. And McDonald's was safe. Yeah.
This is why we wanted him out of town.
We'll take a break. When we come back, more with Tyler Yaremchuk. If he's willing, we'll talk a little Buffalo Bills, some Jays, and more Oilers, of course. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X. If you want to watch us on Instagram, you can do so on the Sports 1440 account as well. The Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Just when the weather is raising your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak, and chicken paninis. Topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle. Grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
We now have a post-game show on Sports 1440. After the next game, tune in to Andrew Walker as he breaks down the game with you. The post-game show brought to you by the Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert.
A few years ago, I was doing okay, but the rising cost of living has made my credit card bills go through the roof, and I don't know how to handle it anymore.
Times are tough. The cost of living is causing many to fall into debt through no fault of their own. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and stressed. There are options that can help you get back on your feet. My name is Parveen Middleton, and I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I can help you find a solution to become debt-free. Visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Cold, icy mornings, frozen windshield, snow in the forecast, and your vehicle won't start. You know what that means, Alberta. Winter is here. Don't get left out of the cold. Head to Napa Auto Parts today to gear up for the frosty months ahead. Winter won't wait, and neither should you. From premium batteries, starters, and alternators to high-quality wiper blades, antifreeze, and snow brushes, Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready and running. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or visit napacanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use the promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. Use promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
29, welcome back. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 and Oilers Nation Facebook, YouTube, and X. Connor Halley, Juan Egretz, Tyler Yaremchuk, Declan Kruger, Liam Peace, all with you in the UL studios here in West Edmonton Mall. The Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. You can get a $50 free play with a deposit when you use the code word Gregor50 at PlayAlberta.ca. Make sure to use your game sense. Stay within your limits. As I mentioned, we got Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff hanging around for a little bit longer. Ty, we've had a few people ask about Brandon Saad and where he might end up. He was willing to lose $5 million to have this contract terminated with the St. Louis Blues, wants to obviously go play with a contender. Some people asking about the Oilers. Probably a pretty loaded room there. But where do you think Brandon Saad could end up and, help out? Because he obviously has the experience and been through it before.
Yeah. Again, pretty crazy for a guy to go and bow out of making $5.4 million over the next year and a half. But I guess when you've made, he's made close to 60, I think, in his career.
57, I believe.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you're sitting there going, hey, I can pass on this next $5 million, I can go make a couple $100,000 the rest of the season when I sign with a contender. And then hopefully in the off season, maybe you sign a 2x2 somewhere. And it's you'll make again, we shouldn't be pouring anything out here for Brandon Saad. He's made a lot of money in his career is my point. There's a few teams that stand out to me. Colorado needs help. Last time he was there, he played, half a season or whatever and scored 15 goals in 44 games with the Avs back in 2020. I wonder if that's maybe not a fit for him. We know they're tight to the cap. We know they desperately need some sort of scoring depth there. So I could see a team like Colorado being interested. Should the Oilers be interested? No. Unless it's one of those you had someone who you could trade Jeff Skinner to, and that would be with Jeff Skinner's approval, obviously. And it's okay, what if you traded Skinner and then signed Saad for league minimum, and all of a sudden you're sitting here going, hey, we just saved ourselves $3 million against the salary cap for the rest of the season, and we have a guy who can be our 13th forward, 12th forward who gives us a little bit of scoring. But no, I think he'd be kind of a redundant ad for the Oilers. Connor Brown, Kasperi Kapanen, Jeff Skinner. You have guys to play that role.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's going to be interesting and, for him to give up that money, although he's made a lot in his career. Kind of cool. Tomorrow, noon, just getting this from the NHL, we're going to have the Four Nation Face-Off captain announcements.
Ooh.
So noon, I assume Connor McDavid gets the A. We're saying Sidney Crosby gets the C.
Sid with Connor and McKinnon probably is the way that's going to go. Seems pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
Maybe Brad Marchand gets a letter, but.
Yeah, you've got the faces there. Who do you want to see Connor McDavid play with at this event?
That's a good question. I'm very intrigued by Sid and McKinnon together. So I think they kind of take a lot of they're my main curiosity of man, how cool are those two going to be together in Canada's power play? So am I excited for Connor to play with any one particular line mate? Not really. We do see him play with another all-world player every single night in Leon Draisaitl, so there's that. But when Canada rolls out their first power play, if they do the Oilers style loading it up, are they really just going to go Makar at the point, Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon on the far side, whoever you want to park in front? You could park one of us in front of the net and we'd probably be able to do somewhat or some sort of damage. But I think it's mainly just the power play for me. How electric could that power play be?
It's ridiculous. I just imagine a nightmare situation. Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid coming down with you 2-on-1. Oilers, we see that all the time. Overtime's amazing. Watching Nurse, or Bouchard out there with McDavid and Draisaitl. But yeah, I think this tournament's going to be a lot of fun. Where do you come out on the intensity level for this event? Because a made-up event, kind of replacing the All-Star game. Some people say, well, these are alphas competing, representing their country. I think it's going to be below the Olympic level intensity, but once they get out there, who knows? One guy throws a hit, anything could happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not going to be all-star game intensity. These guys are going to be playing the game hard and playing within a structure. Anytime you get the maple leaf on your chest, you're going to want to go and show out. The other thing that does hang over this is, the Olympics are next year. I think a lot of guys view this as a sort of soft tryout for the Olympic team 12 months from now. So guys will be going hard. Will we get Game 7 Stanley Cup final intensity? I don't know. But if I'm remembering back to the World Cup of Hockey last year, or when they did it however many years ago, it was good hockey, but it was not right home about, and we're going to be looking back in 5 years being what an electric game we had at that one Four Nations face-off one. It'll be fine. It'll be cool to see these players all on the ice together because we haven't seen that in so long. And I just think the effect of that will overshadow any sort of deficiencies that the actual hockey games itself might have.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be locked in. And I've even said this, I don't care what happens. Canada can win. I'm not going to be a cocky Canadian hockey fan. They can lose. It's not going to ruin my day. But I'm looking forward to seeing this collection of talent. For those interested, Sweden and Finland will make their announcements for the captaincies at 7 and 8 a.m. States doing it at 11, and then Canada's will come at noon. I think Crosby probably a lock to get in there. So, Ty, let's dive into it just a little bit here. I know you and Declan, both proud members of Bills Mafia. Heck of a season. took the Chiefs to the limit. Some say probably, could have, should have won, found a way. But now for the Buffalo Bills, what do you do this offseason? We've seen Allen, how good he was, MVP caliber. He lost to great players in Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and didn't seem to really lose a step. No. But you got to think like a playmaker would be nice if they're on the same page. And what do you think the Buffalo Bills do this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, a playmaker would be nice, but I also think with Josh Allen, like your offense is always going to eat to some extent. I think the focus should be making sure you bring back a James Cook. I think an offense that is a core of Cook, Allen, Khalil Shakir, see what Keon Coleman develops into. Like you still have offensive pieces that I wouldn't be spending the money or assets that I have on going out and getting a DK Metcalf or something like that if he's available. I think if you're going to make a really big trade, it should be for a playmaker on the defensive side of things, like a real game wrecker kind of option. Like everyone on Bill's Twitter right now is obsessed with the idea of Max Crosby. Like if Vegas trades him, really? he went on NFL Network during the playoffs a bunch of times, and he kept like glowingly talking about Josh Allen, how much he loved the city of Buffalo and all this stuff. So that's got Bills fans dreaming. But I think that's kind of the thing. I know the Browns say they're not trading Myles Garrett. I doubt they would. But like if one of those guys becomes available, you spend big for a game wrecker on the defensive side of things. As far as the offense goes, I honestly think you can run back a pretty similar group there. Would you love to have some sort of deep threat that Josh Allen can rely on? Sure. But this spread out offense worked, and I think you can bank on some guys improving.
I thought watching the Bills, and it was early on in the season, like Josh Allen was making all the throws, but a lot of them were so wide open. Like there's 3-4 yards of separation where I'm like, man, they've just schemed this thing up so well. And James Cook, I loved watching him. The way he hits the hole, like so fast. I'm watching J.K. Dobbins, who's a different type of running back, but there's the kind of a poor man's Le'Veon Bell. He's bouncing around behind the line of scrimmage. Watch James Cook just go through at full speed, like reckless abandon.
He goes into a crowd of 8 players that are all bunched up, and then all of a sudden he just spits out the other side, and he's got that speed where he's gone, and he cuts to the corner, and it's whatever tail lights. But yeah,
Lance texting in, whoa. We're not trading double X Crosby. Noted Raiders fan.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy Lance. I don't know. I just think, again, if that kind of a player becomes available, maybe it's not Max Crosby, maybe it's not Myles Garrett, maybe it's someone else around the NFL who is a true game difference maker on defense. That's who I could see them spending on.
Alan texting in, Bills need more depth at corner. And just drops Elam in there. How about the draft? Any area of target for is best player available, or?
I think they honestly kind of are. Like, again, if there's a wide receiver you like in some sort of a round and you think they're the next Ladd McConkey or something where you can take the risk, I think they can take some risks is my point. Like, they need some more depth at a few positions. I'd be drafting heavy on the defensive side of the ball. But I also just think with, again, how good they looked in what was supposed to be a rebuild, retool, reset year, right? The term soft rebuild was getting thrown around a ton with this team. They had a lot of guys who did work out. And I think they have a lot of young guys, Cole Bishop on the defensive side of things, pieces like that you can trust to take a step forward next year. I would take some risks at the draft and try to shoot for some legit stars later on in the rounds.
A lot of guys fall for whatever reason. I mean, Jalen Carter didn't fall that far, but that guy was like top 1 pick. And serious incident happens. He falls, goes to a team with a lot of character, seemed to work out okay for them. Before we let you go here, I don't even like talking about this team anymore, but the Toronto Blue Jays, I'm sure the Skydome, as I refer to it as, is looking better than ever. But the team, I'm feeling like it's going to be a lot of mediocrity. What are you thinking about the Jays offseason?
Well, it hasn't been fun because they've done nothing. Missed out on another big name free agent. Super depressing. Again, that just sucks. But what else? They can still salvage this, I guess, is my point. Like if they come out of this and they sign Pete Alonso and Max Scherzer, who are the two, big rumors right now. And Scherzer's definitely past his prime, but he still put up some really, really solid numbers the last couple of years. All of a sudden you have a rotation that's still really good. Going Gausman to Barrios to Bassett to Scherzer, and then have Bowden Francis as your 5, bump Yariel Rodriguez back to the bullpen. Now all of a sudden you have probably a pretty decent bullpen coming together. You brought back Jimmy Garcia as well. I love the pitching staff. If you can sign Pete Alonso, you have Santander, so you automatically have way more pop in your lineup, and that's what they were really missing last year. And you're throwing out a lineup that's Bo, Vlad, Santander, Alonso, maybe a bounce back from Alejandro Kirk, maybe a breakthrough finally from Dalton Varsho, whatever George Springer's got left in the tank for you. Like, there's still pieces here for me to be excited going into next year, but they need to make at least 2 more significant adds. And Alonso and Scherzer would check those boxes for me.
Now I'm looking forward to it. Pitchers and catchers reporting, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it is. It's 2 weeks away, which is crazy.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. What do you think of the Dodgers? Do you like the deferred payment and what they're doing? Is this good for baseball?
Like, I don't think it's good for baseball, but when I see other fan bases complain about it, there's a part of me that's like, your owners are all also very rich.
Yeah.
So, like, they could do it. The Jays could do it if they wanted to. The Jays could have offered Ohtani that contract. And listen, the Dodgers are rich times a billion. Like, I get that they are dealing with things a little bit differently, but when you just look at how many rich owners there are who refuse to invest in payroll, I just have a hard time sitting here and roasting the Dodgers when the real problem is that not every team's trying to be competitive. It's owners who are just sitting and waiting for franchise valuations to go up so they can one day cash in and aren't actually interested in turning their businesses into a year-by-year profitable organization, a year-by-year contender. Like, at the end of the day, I think the best sports owners are the ones who kind of, to some extent, do it for fun, right? Like, it's the ultimate sign of wealth to run a sports team and say that you're building championships. These guys who are just nickel and diming, like in Pittsburgh and everything they do, it's ridiculous. Like, that's the real problem with baseball, not so much the Dodgers.
I can't wait to see the Athletics this year playing in that dinky stadium. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because I don't know the stadium that well. It's Sacramento.
But they're also like not going by a city name.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be the Sacramento A's. They're just the Athletics, which is wildly confusing. The Tampa Bay Rays don't have a stadium, destroyed by the hurricane, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we have 2 teams in minor league parks. So it'll be an interesting year for baseball. I'm just seeing this now pop up on my Twitter, by the way. The Utah Hockey Club has announced that it will be deciding its new name by a fan vote, and it will no longer be pursuing the trademark of the name Yeti. So
we discussed that Friday.
Yeah. So it's now coming down to, these are the 3 options apparently that'll be decided by a fan vote: Utah Hockey Club, just keeping it the same, the Utah Mammoth, or the Utah Wasatch.
Wasatch?
What's that?
I don't know.
Is that a word they made up?
How do you spell that?
Wasatch. It's got to be.
It's a mountain range.
Okay, so they'd be named after the Utah mountain range.
Beautiful. All right.
So the Yeti won't get involved in some sort of collaboration brand building exercise with the hockey club. But who was our sponsor at Jasper?
Yeti. I do love my new friends over at Yeti.
How was Jasper? How's it looking?
Well, I mean, from the fires, like, super sad. Like, we drove in at night, so we didn't really see anything. And then when the next kind of day, when you look around, like, especially at the JPL, you see all the burnt trees, and it's like, you just get more of a perspective as you look up mountains and just see that they're bare now. It's like, whoa, like, you knew it was a big fire, but until you look and kind of as far as your eyes can go, you just see burnt trees. It was something, but it was good to, get into town and hit up a few of those local spots, staying at the JPL as well. They were obviously affected by it. And it was good to see everyone, up on their feet. And it was Jasper in January, so the vibes there were really good, and everyone was obviously super upbeat. So, I mean, you can't keep down a community like that, but it was awesome to be out there, and it definitely gave some interesting perspective looking around.
Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us, Ty. Appreciate you swinging by the studio, and you'll be back next week with Gregor, probably around the same time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
There you go. That's Tyler Yuremchuk of Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff swinging by Sports 1440 studios here in West Edmonton Mall. We'll take a break. When we come back, more of your texts. Dave Q, did I just hear a J.K. Dobbins, Le'Veon Bell comparison, and then a bunch of laughing emojis? Yes, but I said poor man's, and I was referring to just the patience in waiting for the holes to open up. Because James Cook just flies through it. I want to see that. I don't like the patience behind. Le'Veon Bell clearly had a much better career than J.K. Dobbins so far. We'll take a break, though. When we come back, more of your texts. Get them in. 1-833-401-1440. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, as well as Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk. Noodle, 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 noodle. Noodle, 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 noodle.
noodle 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 oodle noodle noods. Noodle 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 oodle noodle noodle.
Troll down to Oodle Noodle tonight because dine-in is open.
Attention drivers, it's the Midwinter Tire Clearance Sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
Honey, look, there's a 75-inch TV on sale for the big game.
No.
Oh, come on. We could be the football house in a couple of weeks for Super Sunday.
No.
Oh, but I already invited David, Rhett, and Bryden. And you know Bryden, he's bringing his cousin who we brought to our wedding.
What? No. Ew. That guy was hitting on my mom all night. They are not coming over. Go to On the Rocks.
Yes, On the Rocks. Okay, ontherocks.yeg.com. Oh, look, only $30 each. We get a seat, prepaid moveset, team t-shirt, chance to win $1,000 cash. Hey, babe, great idea.
Love you. Go have fun at OTR.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
We now have a post-game show on Sports 1440. After the next game, tune in to Andrew Walker as he breaks down the game with you. The post-game show brought to you by the Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert.
McDonald's presents a hockey showdown like never before. McDavid versus Matthew. There can only be one winner, competing for all the glory and all the prize. The new menu features top shelf plays like the Smoky Quarter Poppy and the Big Mac David, so everybody scores, with even more delicious options like the Spicy Junior Chirpy. Now that calls for a silly Sunday. The Showdown menu, now available at McDonald's.
Hair Aware with Dr. Vance Elliott.
Hey, Dr. Vance, does a hair transplant have to look like a hair transplant? There's a guy at work, his is totally obvious.
My goal is to give every one of my patients a full, natural-looking head of hair, so I stay up to date on the latest innovations. This is science, and more importantly, an art. I do things differently and move more hair than is normally done, resulting in a thicker look that is also more natural.
Trust a world-renowned expert in hair restoration. Book an appointment at drvanceelliott.com today.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson again. Did you know that all mechanical equipment has a typical life expectancy? A furnace and air conditioner generally lasts 15 to 25 years, and your hot water tank is more in the 6 to 12 year range. With that in mind, your mechanical equipment will last longer with regular maintenance and service from the pros at Weiss Johnson. Visit wjheats.com today to book your service or provide you with an estimate for a new furnace, air conditioner, or hot water tank that is long past its prime.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange and maintenance equipment. Ordered today at cantorque.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Our subject isn't cool, but he thinks it anyway. He may not have a clue and he may not have style, but everything he likes, well, he makes up into nine. So don't think back, play out straight. You know it ain't doesn't get it anyway. But I feel, keep it real. But you know it, so if you don't break, just go.
Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanye Gratz, Declan Kruger, Liam Peace with you here. Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. You can go tonight, have a chance at $26 million at the Lotto 649. Also, code word Gregor50 gets you a $50 free play with your deposit. Check it out, PlayAlberta.ca. Make sure to use your game sense. Wanye, great having Tyler in here. I told you this story. We hired him back in the day at 1260, and within a few weeks, I'm like, oh, God, this guy's already better than me at this job. He's great to have in here, a wealth of knowledge, dropping news, breaking news that the Utah Hockey Club will no longer be going with the Yeti. We talked about that on Friday. The Yeti company, the corporation, who we love, a little bit of an issue with the hockey club. So they're going to go in a different direction. The Mammoth, the Hockey Club, the HC, or the Wasatch.
HC is an option?
They could stick the yeah. Yes, it is.
Well, I hope the people of Utah listen to me like they usually do. Vote for the HC.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a cool logo. It's built in. But if they do that, I wonder, would they just leave the uniform? Because I thought it was like great marketing. Come into the NHL, have the HC, and then you get a brand, and then you build it up, and then you sell more merchandise. I wonder if they would just leave it the same or try to do something new.
If I know Utah owner Ryan Smith, and I don't, I think he's going to change the name so he can sell all the jerseys again. I bet you it's the Mammoth.
JCD texting in 1-833-401-1440. Mammoth is dope. Alan says they should be the Utah Phoenix. Well, unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be one of the options. But yeah, we're going to talk Utah, actually. That was just pure coincidence. Coming up at about 4:20 today, Brogan Houston's going to join us, covers the HC. So we'll get his thoughts, see what he thinks about the new name options and what it might be. Also, some text coming in here. Frank, if I was the Buffalo Bills, I would be changing the offensive coordinator, trying the same quarterback sneak 6 or 7 times and not working. Change it up already. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Mr. James Cook. Would have loved to see him get the rock in one of those situations. JCD says, HC is awful. This isn't soccer. Lance thinks they should stick with the music theme. Just do obscure horn gestures, Utah ska, checkered jerseys. That would be rad. Like Operation Ivy in there or something. I don't even know if they're a ska band. Less Than Jake playing the house band. That'd be cool. Lance can give us some real ones because I know he's probably more familiar with that genre. El Nate, I always thought Washington should have stayed with the football club. Declan, was it you who also liked that look? Yeah, you thought that the Utah Washington Football Club was a good name.
I thought it just fit them really well. I don't know what it was. Like I thought it was a cool nickname.
I definitely liked the look of it. Commanders, I don't know. It's okay. It's not awful, but I thought they had a good one going.
It's weird how soccer fans will allow football club for every other team, but they won't do a single team like that in the NFL.
Yeah, it is. It just the way we were raised, I suppose. Nobody wants to change it up or anything of that, but yeah. Text coming in here. Soggy Corpse. A lot of people are talking like we haven't learned this lesson 4 times. Nurse, Petrie, Schultz. I mean, come on. Do you want to see this guy go somewhere and run for the cup? Soggy Corpse. No. You know what? I don't think there's too many people, and feel free to text in and tell me I'm wrong, that want to move on from Evan Bouchard. There are some. We've some people texting in asking about that, and I don't even know what the package would be, what the return would be. I think a lot of the debate just comes in as how much he's praised or criticized and what the number and term is going to look like in his next contract. I thought Tyler Yaremchuk brought up a lot of really good points, why you should pay him long-term. And I do tend to agree. Like I look at the Oilers' history with that. What if you had given Darnell Nurse a long-term deal before one of those bridge deals? Like you'd be laughing, assuming everything goes the same way. Leon Draisaitl got the 8x8 at a young age. And at the time, some people were a little pessimistic, I'll say, about that deal, but it worked out pretty good. It was a very team-friendly contract when he's winning Hart trophies and scoring 50 goals. So yeah, I mean, I think if your plan is to keep them and, that's kind of what you do, you want to draft and develop and then keep those players in your organization, bite the bullet, get the long-term deal done now. And then when the cap goes up, like Ty said, the percentage, what did he say? 10%? Let's just say that nice round number. When you do that now versus 2 years from now, when the cap jumps up, it's going to be a lower number. And, maybe long-term it works out just a little bit better. Nurse and Bouchard are not Draisaitl. Never said they were. But you can do lower scale and say you can save some money now by paying them that long-term contract rather than doing it in a couple of years when you're going to have to pay more. Like if Darnell Nurse had got the long-term deal when he signed, I'll have to go back and look at it, whatever it was, 2 years, 11.5, was it 6.5 AAV? If you had given him 7 years at 7.5, I think a lot of Oilers fans would have been a lot happier than what he ended up coming in at, because the name jumps up. The money jumps up when you had the Werenskis and the Seth Jones deals going by, right? That kind of set the market. You could have had him locked in at maybe $7.5 million for all those years. Not saying those guys are Leon Draisaitl, But the theory remains. Noel Rinsky, or you can save money now when the cap is lower. Okay, Noel. So let's say bridge deal. You'll save money now. You're gonna have to pay him eventually. What if the trajectory goes and he can, like, next year bounces back point per game player, or the Oilers win the cup and he's great in the playoffs? Like it could just jump up. I guess I get what you're saying. You could save the money now, but your plan is to keep him in the blue and orange for a long time. So if it's going to be, hypothetically, let's just use easy numbers, $8 million to do it now, or in 2027, $10 million. Like, why not just get it done? I'm just going back and forth with Noel now. What if he doesn't? If he earns it, he earns it. Yeah, well, what if you could get ahead and get it for cheaper now? Like the Oilers did with Leon Draisaitl. Like they could have done with Darnell Nurse. If you don't believe in him, then you're not going to do that. But we'll find out, I suppose, what Stan Bowman and company think of it going forward. He also has arbitration rights, so yeah. And in 2 years, if you give him the bridge deal, like, you got to factor in UFA status comes into it as well. And maybe he just leaves. If you're not a fan of him, you don't care. But if you are, maybe you want to lock it in. Lance says, you nailed 2 ska bands, con man. Thank you. Big Wally style dropping. Operation Ivy makes you the new top dog at 1440. Oh, thank you. I don't want to ruin it. Did they become Rancid? Or core band members became Rancid? Wanya, are you hip to that?
Don't look to me.
No, you don't know that stuff? A lot of people texting in name suggestions for Utah.
What do you got?
One I'm not going to say. Polygamist is one we talked about last week.
Funny.
There's just some. I don't know if I can say it on the radio, but if you know, you probably know what I'm referring to.
If you can't say it on the radio, it's not a good name.
Exactly. You guys are right. Better to pay long term at the end of the term. It's a lot cheaper, specifically if they're proven good players. And as for these guys, they have seen Bouchard. He should be traded. Wow, Cal, I'm going to need you to send that one in one more time. JCD thought he was a UFA after the season. No, but this season he does have the ARB rights. Bowman blew it when he signed Jones in Chicago. That contract just set Nurse for his. Yeah, absolutely. And that was it. Like, sometimes you get the advantage of signing players first. You see it in the NFL all the time. Like, I think it was this past offseason or just take Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. You wanted the other guy to sign first because as soon as he signed, you get a chance to reset that market and get paid more. Sometimes signing guys can be advantageous. Half of Operation Ivy became Rancid from Lance. There we go. I knew something about that. Okay, Cal fixing it. Sorry, guys. Bouchard should be kept. All the guys that think he should be traded should be called Karen. There's not too many people, actually. I think for the most part, people are just kind of debating whether it should be a long-term deal or bridge and at what cost. Original 6 says, boys, Bouchard will have offer sheets this summer. Ooh.
You wouldn't think he would, but St. Louis Blues opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Someone's going to try and do offer sheets, seeing how well that worked. That is going to open up more offer sheets.
The thing is, I'm curious because you'd have to do a pretty high amount, and then the compensation becomes more all of a sudden, first-round picks and such.
Not for Bouch. I just mean in general.
In general, yeah. And you know what? I love it. I think that more teams should do that. Find a team that's, in cap hell and then try to pluck their players. It has to be a perfect situation. Like, obviously, the team has to have those players not signed, probably well into the summer, be in trouble, and then you have to be able to pay them and also be willing to part with that compensation. JCD says, I'd be happy with 8x8. That was the number that Tyler had thrown out there. Rob in Leduc says, hey, guys, great show. Great job in relief. Thank you. Thanks, Rob. Needed that. I've always been a big fan of Nurse, even at the price. Best way to quiet those who don't like him is to see how long the line of GMs would be when a trade was mentioned. That's it. I'm sure a lot of teams would love to bring in a guy like Evan Bouchard at this point in his career. Just 25 years old, still some room to grow. And finally, Lance says Utah Hockey Club, but their mascot is a mammoth and the mountains are in their jersey. Combine all three. I'm sure they probably could. You know, some teams just have like a random logo. So maybe they could be the mountain range on the front, and then on the shoulder, they have a mammoth. And then they make that third jersey for the reverse retros with the mammoth on the front. Marketing. I like what you're thinking, Lance. Let's take a break here. When we come back, more of your text. 1-833-401-1440. It is the Jason Gregor Show still to come. On the program, we will be joined by Brogan Houston, covers the Utah HC, and Mark Spector. We'll get to the NFL report as well. Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Let's get to a Sports 1440 update with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Fountain Tire. Get where you need to go this winter with the mid-winter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. You save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. Complete details at fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update. 5 games tonight in the NHL. 3 games kicking off the action at 5 o'clock. The Wild and Maple Leafs, Kings and Panthers, and Flyers in New Jersey. The other 2 games on the schedule, we'll see Vancouver and Nashville and Pittsburgh in Utah. 11 games tonight in the NBA. 3 games kicking off the action at 5 o'clock, not 4. Brooklyn and Charlotte, Detroit and Indiana, and the Toronto Raptors on the road in Washington to take on the Wizards. The nationally televised games tonight, we'll see Denver and New York against the Knicks, and Oklahoma City and Golden State against the Thunder. News around the sporting world, Tampa Bay Rays and infielder Ha-Sung Kim are in agreement on a 2-year, $29 million deal. Houston Rockets forward Dylan Brooks was fined $25,000 by the NBA for using profane language during postgame interview, and Flyers goaltender Samuel Ersson will replace Jacob Markstrom for Team Sweden for the Four Nations face-off. Other news from earlier today saw the St. Louis Blues agreeing to a mutual contract termination with Brandon Saad after the veteran forward went unclaimed on waivers. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray Radio Station. DKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
We believe that great projects start from the ground up. Well, to be accurate, great projects start from the underground up. We're GS Construction, and from pipes to drainage systems, we're always laying the groundwork for a better future for Edmonton. While the month of January may be slow for some, GS Construction is gearing up for a busy year ahead, preparing to build, repair, and replace tons of infrastructure to keep your systems running smoothly. To find out more, including new job opportunities, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Is it Riverside Motorsports?
No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong.
Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
It's getting free all season long. Can you believe it? Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Day or night, tasting just the right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle. It's the place for Honda. It's the place for service too. I love it. I love my Honda place. Would you buy? Would you buy? Would you buy it? You would buy it. You would.
Snow removal contractors and community leagues. The tools you need are available at the prices you want. Now at the Lawnmower Hospital. Save up to $1,300 and get a free Echo backpack blower. All of BCS's industry-leading belt-free snow sweepers are on sale. And you'll get the powerful Echo PB9010 backpack blower free with select models. Find out more at thelawnmowerhosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Take a look inside your heart. Is there any room for me? I won't have to hold my breath till you get down on one knee, because you only want to hold me when I'm looking good enough. Did you ever fool me? Would you ever picture us? Every time I pull my hair out was any outfit. You find me ugly and one day you disappear, cause what's the point of crying? It was never even enough. Did you ever want me? Was I ever good enough? Where's Aaliyah?
This hour are brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help, and you can learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
Sports Radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Think about that I shouldn't. So I tell him it's one of me. He making fun of me. His girl is a bum to me. Like that boy is a cat. Saying he home, but I know where he at. Like, but he up back. Think about me, cause he know that it's fat. Yeah. And it been what it been. Pulling his phone like, yo, send me a pin. Ducking my cause he know what I'm on. But when he hit me, I'm not gonna respond. But I don't sleep enough without you. And I can't eat.
It's just after 4 o'clock. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanya Gretz, Declan Kruger, Liam Pease with you here. The Jason Gregor Show is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tonight's Lotto 649, $26 million. You can also deposit minimum 5, minimum 10. Put in code word Gregor50. You'll get a $50 free play. Remember to use your GameSense. Go to GameSenseAB.ca and stay within your limits. The text line, 1-833-401-1440. That's what we call the eWell inbox. Score with your power play partners at eWell. Get all your electrical needs at EWEL.ca with 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and across Alberta. Later on in the show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector. We've got 5 questions. Brogan Houston going to join us in about 15 minutes' time. Talk a little Utah HC. What's going on there? They've got some injuries. They got Sidney Crosby in town, and they're not going to be the Yetis. A little bit disappointing, but that's the way she goes sometimes. We'll jump back into the eWell inbox. Geo texting in, gents. There was a comparison between Dobson and Bush. Talking Noah Dobson. Bush is a game breaker. He's won multiple games with one shot late in the game. Bush has frustrated me with the D-zone coverage, but he has been better with time. He will be a number 1 defenseman in the not too distant future. Yeah, Dobson was selected, 2 picks after Bouchard, I believe, back in 2018. He's currently on a 3-year deal worth $12 million. That's a $4 million AAV. Yeah, I mean, geez, like, you want to bet on your guy, right? You want to hope that as time moves on, maybe the game slows down a little bit for Bouchard and just kind of eliminates those mistakes that he makes. He's not going to be perfect. Nobody is. But you try to minimize those. And if so, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's been number 1. We'll see. I like the optimism, Gio. Colin from Rimby says, if Edmonton traded Bouchard, we'd watch him dominate on some other teams. A lot of teams would probably love to add him into their lineup. So, yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone, Wanye. And sometimes you don't want to risk that. Petrie was brought up. Schultz was steady. I think the problem when he was kind of mentioned as a Norris Trophy winner when he was brought to Edmonton, expectations were high.
You're setting the expectation bar quite high. I wonder what percentage of people who don't like Bouchard don't like Nurse. Because there's very vocal detractors for both players. But I wonder if it's just the same group of us mad about everything. Because if there's one thing people in Edmonton don't generally like, it's when an Oiler gets a big contract. Anybody. The only people who don't get guff is like Connor, and even Leon got guff.
Nuge got a little bit.
Yeah.
Term's a little long.
Yeah.
Hyman. think Hyman, for the most part, people love.
Yeah, Hyman was pretty universal. You're
Hyman's just seemed to be loved by everybody, except for that guy out in Toronto. But that's his problem. Geo says, this is a different Geo. Bouchard and picks to Nashville for Yossi. Who wouldn't? See, my only thing about that is, and I don't know, maybe we got to go to Nashville and see what their plan is, but they spent a lot of money in this past offseason bringing in players. Like, are they in win now mode? I think we'd all agree Roman Yossi's better than Bouchard. He gives you a better chance to win. Draft picks, that's a couple of years down the road to help you. In 5 years, Bouchard will probably be better than Roman Yossi because Roman Yossi could be out of the league. I don't want to speak on his future plans, but yeah, I don't know. I think right now I'm just wondering if Nashville might want to hang on to their captain. Utah Shakers, as in salt shakers, but seriously, Utah Colossus. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I don't think that Bouchard can receive an offer sheet, not if he has arbitration rights. All Edmonton has to do is offer him his qualifying offer. I believe that takes the offer sheet off the market. Roger from Calgary, please correct me if I'm wrong. We'll dive into it. I mean, sometimes the offer sheets can be good, right? Like if there is a bit of a discrepancy in the negotiation, it just puts that number out there and you can match it. You take it away. I mean, for the Oilers, looking back at the contracts they had, Dylan Holloway's one I would have loved to see them have matched. Broberg, I understand. The compensation was a little bit better. The money was a little bit higher. But yeah, I mean, if he were to get offer sheeted at some point down the road, it's a pretty easy match. CH, I liked the Yeti, but Mammoth may be a cooler jersey from Husks. Yeah. And Aaron texting again, would the Colorado Mammoth have issues with the same name? That's kind of the one I brought up when it was talked about on Friday. Is that one of the original names? Like other sports teams have that name, but it's something that's generic. Like Lions. I'm sure there's a lot more than that.
I'm not an actual trademark lawyer, Connor, but I play one on TV. If I was a trademark lawyer standing up in court, I think there's a closer case for a lacrosse team blocking the use of the name than the Yeti cooler people. That to me makes no sense as an imaginary trademark lawyer. It's a complete different use of the name.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we're both sports teams called the Mammoth. People could buy a Utah Mammoth hat wanting our lacrosse hat. I think there's a much stronger case. Denied.
Denied. Fat Efron says Utah skinwalkers. Navajo folklore about shape-shifting witches called skinwalkers. They're very scary. When I go backpacking in the mountains, I'm more terrified of a skinwalker than a bear or cougar, even if they didn't exist. Plus, they have a ranch in Utah called Skinwalker Ranch, and it has tons of paranormal activity. I love that.
Do you know about Skinwalker Ranch?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Is it a TV show?
I think they made a documentary.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking into it. I saw that name and I had to immediately Google it because I had heard that in the past. I would think that's a pretty cool name if it were to happen. No name on this one. Please include your name. The only options for Bouchard, in my opinion, are that we sign him for 8 years or we let someone offer him at a value of 4 first rounds. There's no way we get more in a trade for Bouch. Still, best option is to keep him because you won't find another Bouch. Bridge results in 13 million AAV in 2 years. And I agree with you. And that's what your Yaremchuk was saying. Like, if you can sign him now, 8x8, it saves you money in the future. It's a little higher right now. That's what Knowles was saying, and that's true. But if you pay a little bit more now when you can, it could save you some money in the future. There's always that risk, though. How does a guy pan out? The things we don't really know. RL says, boys, I think I just missed your conversation about Bouchard. I would not sign him for more than $6 million a year. His defensive woes outweigh his positive play. I think that last year, year to year is down 30 to 40% from RL. Well, and that's the question, RL. Would his camp take $6 million?
When you're 25 years old and you're a point-a-game defenseman in the playoffs 2 years in a row, someone's going to offer so much money. You're not going to keep Evan Bouchard with a value contract. Someone's going to come along. Trip in.
You be the agent and you offer me $6 million.
Hey there, Mr. Agent. You look great. Would you take $6 million a year for Bouch?
No, I won't.
We're done here.
Now, maybe you'd say 6.5 or something, and I'd say I'll do 6.5, but I'll do it for 2 years.
Would he even take that low of a bridge?
That's just hypothetically. And then betting on yourself the way Darnell Nurse did, PK Subban did. Yeah, we'll see what happens in 2 years or down the road when I'm a UFA, and we'll see what kind of money I get. That's the conversation that's going to happen. So if you're the Oilers and you don't want to risk that, that's why you're giving him 8x8.
Remember when Darnell got the deal, the bridge deal?
Twice.
Remember he was holding out that 1 year? I saw him during his holdout at a diner with his now wife eating breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this guy's not worried about anything. He is eating his eggs calmly. These guys know once you've delivered, there's so few NHL players that can deliver on that level, especially as defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
You're bound to get paid.
Yeah, the money's going to be there.
You have terrible leverage as an agent.
Wherever it is. It might not be in said market, but the money will be out there. Teams are always looking to overpay in free agency. Mark says, do you guys think the Oilers will be interested in Saad as a bottom six forward? I don't think so. I think their bottom six is pretty good. They're pretty loaded up front, so I don't think so, personally. RBS says, to me, it looks like effort for Bouchard. That, along with mistakes, make it look worse. Not sure why he gives up on certain plays. Yeah, have seen that before, right? Turnover on the offensive side of the play, the blue line, and just kind of looks like it's like a half effort. Definitely have seen that before. At this point, Bouchard is a question mark going into the playoffs. Bowman's track record says he isn't going into the playoffs with questions. Well, yeah. You know what? You got to look at it. Bowman didn't draft Bouchard. Hasn't dealt with negotiations. Like, to him, it might be very good for the Oilers to come into this with Stan Bowman saying, like, I don't have loyalty. I'm going to pay you what I think you deserve. We'd love to keep you, but there's not going to be that, like, I drafted you. I want to keep you. You're my guy. Fuzzy just says the Chupacabra. Or we're just going to go into, like, mythical creatures.
Sweet.
That'd be a good one. Utah should have to earn their name. They get a name when they make one.
That's cool.
Skinwalker Ranch is a great show for paranormal activity. I love that. I love that kind of stuff. I used to like the Josh Gates, I believe. Destination Truth. He'd go to, like, urban legends, but he would also get into the paranormal stuff. Always good.
What was the show? I watched it for years, and they always had like their EEG meters out, paranormal activity hunters types.
Yeah.
And then you realize if you're me one day, you've watched like 4 seasons of the show and haven't seen anything at all happen. And you're like, what are you doing with your life, Wanye?
It's like the Sasquatch shows. Why haven't we found them?
What's the other one? It's like they're looking on an island out in Eastern Canada. They're looking for treasure, and they're like 6 seasons in and they haven't found any treasure. But then they go and get a big backhoe, and that's a whole new season. The Curse of Oak Island. Liam
coming in from
LP
Liam.
Smooth.
Yeah, I've tried to get into that show, but just that one doesn't hold on. Elks Oil says, so I think Bouchard is going through a rough season, but it's part of his development for a young defenseman. He should continue as a long-term part of this team, just as Nurse has grown over the years. The reality is this struggling season is hurting him with the next contract numbers, but shouldn't impact his long-term future with the Oil. That's a point that Gregor's brought up too. Like, the struggles this season, could it potentially benefit the Oil? Maybe if it is with an arbitrator or just in the contract negotiation. Like, 2 years ago was great, but this season wasn't quite as good. Maybe it can impact things. JC says, guys, how does NHL determine what draft picks a team gets when another team signs another team's RFAs? It's staggered. So, like, it's a certain amount of money would cost you a certain amount of picks. Like, if you wanted to go after Evan Bouchard, I'm assuming the contract's going to be high. It's going to be a higher amount of draft picks. It's all slated in there. We could probably go find that, but it is set. Lance says, you would think fans would learn from so many incidents. Look for no further back than Philip Broberg. Didn't want to pay him, and now we're all mad he's gone. Pay good players who want to play here. Fritz says, to the guy who says Bouch will become a number 1 defenseman, wrong. Bouch may become a great number 2. 100%. Never, ever a number 1.
The numbers say otherwise, my friend.
Like, I get what Fritz is saying, because I still, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, offensive upside, but am I going to say I want him out against the other team's top players? There might be some hesitancy, but I'll never rule it out. It could happen. He was better in the playoffs, so there's reason for me to have some optimism. G says, I wouldn't sign McDavid for more than $8 million. His points are down now 2 years in a row.
Oh my goodness.
That might be sarcasm. I'm not exactly sure. Good day, gents, from Zads. We need to keep into consideration that when an NHL player signs for $8 million US, they don't actually clear $8 million after agents, escrow, taxes from different states and plus provinces in Canada. It's about half. They hurting no. Oh man, this one got a little crazy towards the end here.
Just trails off.
Essentially saying don't focus on the number. Well, you don't have to worry about how much money they're making and how they're living, but you do have to worry about the salary cap. So that's when the number really does matter. Dallin says Ghost Adventures is good too. I like how we're just getting like it's Bouchard, Fat Efron, Connor. There's paranormal tours at Fort Edmonton. I went 2 years ago. I'm going back. You should come. I thought it would be funny if we took Stretty out and put like the camera on his face as he did a walk around for a paranormal activity tour. I'd be down for that. Keep me in the loop, Fat Efron. And Trip, last text before we go to break here. Bouchard always looks like he's skating uphill into the defensive zone and downhill into the offensive zone. Man, that's a lot of us in life playing sports.
Fair.
Yeah, everyone, it's fun to score goals. You got to be different to want to go play defense.
Bouchard is not an error-free defenseman.
No.
Nobody is, first of all. But his lapses are very visible. But he's producing at above point a game in the playoffs, people. That's so hard to find in a defenseman, especially one who's 25.
Boys, would you trade Bouch for Broberg and Holloway straight up?
You son of a gun.
That's from Hot Tub.
I damn near swore on the radio, Hot Tub. Well done.
Would you?
No.
Oh, the potential is tempting. 2 players for 1. They're at $6 million for the next 2 years, give or take. Just over 6.5, yeah.
I'm impressed the Oil were able to. I mean, I know that losing Fogle and losing Bouchard and losing Holloway, these aren't top 6 forwards, but it really did, I thought at the time, gut the depth of the team. And they just signed new guys and rolled on, man.
And pro sports, it'll always continue. They'll always be going on. No person is bigger than the team.
What about Connor?
Gretzky left and the Oilers won the cup still.
And Gretzky never did.
But
what about Connor?
Well, I'm not putting it out there.
Connor's bigger than the team. He is. Crosby's bigger than the team. Ovi's bigger than the team. Connor's bigger than the team. That's it.
Connor's bigger than the Beatles?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, more text. Also, let's go to Utah. Let's talk a little bit about the HC as we'll be joined by Brogan Houston. You're watching and listening to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Also, Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X. Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Just when the weather is raising your nosy, someone's got a new menu that's tasty and cozy. What? It's Booster Juice. Now you can warm up and chow down with a savory selection of grilled fresh favorites. Breakfast wraps, chicken wraps, grilled cheese, steak and chicken paninis, topped with melty cheese, creamy pesto, spicy chipotle, grilled fresh options made in-house, warm and delicious. Made daily with the finest ingredients. Cozy comfort food at Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Attention drivers, it's the midwinter tire clearance sale at Fountain Tire. Right now, you can save up to 20% off all in-stock winter tires. That's right, premium brands, unbeatable safety, and incredible savings. But don't wait, this sale ends March 8th. And once they're gone, they're gone. Contact your local Fountain Tire for complete details.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. They're blowing out furniture for up to 60% off the original price. With in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts, check out your nearest Brick location to save up to $1,300 off sofas, up to 25% off bedroom and dining, and up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, more deals in every department. Some exclusions apply. The Brick, saving you more.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Looking at the Alberta weather forecast, wild, unpredictable, brutally tough.
When the
this
weather
year.
turns tough, Titan Supply doesn't back down. Titan Supply's been protecting workers from conditions like this for 50 years. We stand tall with you against the elements with the industry's best rigging, hauling, and lifting products to get you home safe. Tire chains, wire rope, round slings, chain slings, and a whole lot more. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary. Online at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV, and I'd like to thank all the people who buy new RVs. Buying your RV new is the most generous thing you can do to help your fellow man. Every year, thousands of people just like you go to the RV show or walk into a new RV store, pay full price, take great care of it like you always do, and then eventually sell it to us. And of course, we pay you market value for your used RV.
But that's tens of thousands less than you paid for it.
That's right, Bob. Could be half of what you paid for it when it was new. And it's still in great shape. So who gets the benefit of that reduced value? Our customers, that's who.
No Bull customers never pay full price for an RV because we only buy used.
Right again, Bob. So we'll enjoy the same RV you have now, only we pay like half as much. And it's only possible because you generously decided to pay that higher price when you bought it. So thanks again to all the new RV buyers, and we'll see you in a few years.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with a $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers score and win for On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave in 118.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
So I can keep track of visions in my eyes. Why she saving me? Cut my security high.
427, welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Liam Peace with you here from the EWEL Studios in West Edmonton Mall. The Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Tonight's Lotto 649, $26 million. You can get yours at PlayAlberta.ca. Lots to get to still here. I'm going to be joined by Mark Spector later on in the program. Talk a whole lot of Oilers, but right now we'll go around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's presents a hockey showdown for the ages. McDavid versus Matthews. Find out who's best and try some top-notch line menu items like the Smoky Quarter Poppy or the Big Mac David. The showdown menu available now at McDonald's. We're going to head out to Utah. Be joined by Brogan Houston, covers the Utah HC for the Deseret News. Brogan, good afternoon. How are things going for you?
Things are going well. Sorry, I had myself on mute there. I didn't realize. Yeah, no, things are going well. We got some good news out of Utah this morning, and yeah, just rolling along here.
Well, enlighten us. What's going on with the HC right now? Are you talking injury and players returning?
So that is news. The big news though is the team name survey, and so everybody's really excited about that right now. Just that they have narrowed it down to 3 teams now instead of 6 that it was before. And so. You know, I'm sure everybody's already seen it out there on Twitter through, myself or, the million other reporters that have posted it. But it's down to the Utah Hockey Club, Utah Mammoth, and Utah Wasatch. So those are the 3 that they're considering. And yeah, that's the buzz here around Utah right now.
Now, was it close to Yetis? We had heard that being, something that a lot of people had liked, but then there was the copyright infringement that caused a little bit of an issue. Was Yeti something that they were considering?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And they, from all that I've heard, Yeti was what they were trying to do. They tried every single avenue to make it possibly work. but it just came down to the inability to get the trademark from the Yeti cooler company is basically what it was. So it would have been that, other than the fact that, there's all this trademark and red tape and all that kind of stuff, from my understanding anyway.
That is too bad, because that had a lot of potential for the Yetis. But the other name option is very cool. The Mammoth, we've had a lot of people actually texting that they like the Wasatch. Now, you're in Utah now. That is a mountain range in Utah?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. From what you've heard, and it's obviously early on, is there a way you think the fan base is leaning? Have they fallen in love with HC?
I've seen a couple of those little polls on Twitter X, and they're all running away with Mammoth, as far as I've seen anyway, like 70% plus. So, as of right now, I'd be surprised if it was anything but Mammoth. I really hope it's not Hockey Club, because as a beat reporter, that's the hardest name to write, because there's no plural version of it or anything. So you just have to write Utah HC every time. Don't like it at all. So yeah, I'd much rather Mammoth. Wasatch, it doesn't resonate as much with me as a non-Utah native, but, maybe the people here would like it more. We'll see.
Yeah, it's funny. We do sports updates, and a lot of times you just kind of go, Oilers taking on and it's weird to say the Hockey Club or the HCs. Right. I'm with you. Mammoth, I think, would be really cool, and you could do some really cool things when it comes to marketing. And I just think business, having a new name, new logo, new jerseys, pretty good for the pocketbook as well. So that would make a lot of sense. We're getting further into the season. You got the Pittsburgh Penguins coming to town tonight. Sidney Crosby. What's the excitement level around the hockey club right now? I know we had a great start for the team, and you've had some injuries to deal with for the team. But what's the excitement level around the organization right now?
That's a really good question. I think they're trying to kind of figure out what they have here. Whether it's a team that actually can push for the playoffs, or whether it's a team that maybe should sell at the deadline. And that's still a question that they're kind of battling with internally. Now, the team, as far as the players go and whatnot, they remind us every single day it's an 82-game season. It's always, don't make too much of this game or too much of the next game and that kind of thing. So they're trying to stay even keel. But you can tell that the players really want to get into these playoffs. They're a little ways out right now, but all it takes is a hot run and maybe a couple of opponents that lose a couple of games and boom, you're in. So we'll see what it is. But yeah, as far as the excitement goes, I think that they're still trying to figure it out. Figure out whether this year is a year that they could scrape in, or whether they should just look to next year.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at that Central Division. It's so tough. The Jets, Stars, Wild, and Avs. I mean, maybe Minnesota falls off with the Kirill Kaprizov injury. I guess we'll have to wait and see. If Utah does decide to go down the sellers route, who do you think could be made available?
So they've got a few guys on expiring deals that have played really, really well this year. I know Oli Mata is not the sexiest name out there, but he's played top pairing minutes ever since, he got traded to Utah, and he's done an excellent job at it. They traded a third-round pick for him. I would venture a guess to say that he's worth at least that, probably more. But we'll see what GMs actually want to pay for him. But he's done really well. He's played on both the right and the left sides, and he's done quite well. Alex Kerfoot is another one on an expiring deal, and he's had a little bit of an off year by his own standards, but he's still playing an excellent defensive game, top penalty killer, all that kind of stuff. So that's another one. Maybe Nick Bukestad as well. We'd see what his value is, but there's a few expiring deals that I think, if you can get something out of them, you might as well.
A lot of people up in our neck of the woods, big fans of Dylan Gunther, obviously spent some time with the Edmonton Oil Kings, local product. Any update on when he might be back in the lineup?
So he skated today for the first time since his injury. He was in a yellow non-contact jersey, so we'll see what that means. Coach said he's officially day-to-day, but when Andre Tournier says he's day-to-day, he's not necessarily going to come back tomorrow. It could be, another week, and then they evaluate, maybe a month, and then they evaluate. And he said that for a few players that have taken 3 or 4 weeks, to come back. And so officially day-to-day, what that actually means, we'll see.
Some other injuries, Sergachev out. I mean, this team has gone through it. I got to think having this not at the All-Star break, the Four Nation face-off break, could be huge for Utah getting some players back.
Yeah, for sure. And Sergachev is a game-time decision tonight. Okay. He practiced on the first power play unit today, first penalty kill, I believe, as well. So the plan is for him to play tonight, and then we'll see, at game time if that actually happens. But if not, he'll be back within the next game or two, I'm sure. But yeah, there are a few bodies that are banged up and could be coming back. Sean Dursley's one that they expect to be right after the Four Nations break is what they're saying right now, to come back. And he got injured in the 4th game of the season, so he's been out long term. John Marino just got back, and he's getting his reps in and whatnot. So yeah, the injuries are looking better now than they did a month ago.
We are joined by Brogan Houston talking to the Utah Hockey Club here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz filling in tonight. I think you tweeted out there, Connor Ingram going to get the start as the Penguins are in town. What have you made of the goaltending duo here, Vejmelka and Ingram, for Utah so far this year?
So Vejmelka, when Ingram went down, Vejmelka was stellar. Like I was saying, he should finish in the top 5 of the Vezina voting at that time. He's fallen off a little bit since. He was playing almost every single game when Ingram was out, and now he's taken a little bit of a step back, but he just got his first shutout, so it's a little bit of give, a little bit of take. But Vejmelka has been the real deal this year. Ingram, it's really hard to judge just because he missed 2 months due to the passing of his mother, and you never really know how to weigh that in your judgment of a player, no matter if it's a goalie or a defenseman or a forward. If my mom were to pass away, I would also struggle in my job performance, and it wouldn't have as much to do with my natural talent or anything like that as much as my mindset. And so he struggled early on in the season, but I'm sure that had more to do with the fact that his mother was in poor health at the time, more than it had to do with anything talent wise or physical or anything like that. And since he's gotten back, he's been really good. So I think those are likely 2 goalies that they can see themselves taking for the next 3-4 years until the pipeline comes up and is ready to pump out another one. So we'll see. I'll also plug Jackson Stauber. He played 4 games and he was excellent in those 4 games. He gave the Vegas Golden Knights the worst loss that they've ever received on home ice, which is kind of crazy to think about. That they've been playing for like 7 years now, and a rookie goaltender playing his first game in almost 2 years comes in and gives them a 6-0 W, so, or a 6-0 L for them. So I think their goalies have been solid this year for the most part.
What have you made of the job that Coach Torney has done with this team? Been with the organization now, going back to the Coyotes' time, 4 seasons now, I believe. No playoff appearances, but I mean, as the years have progressed, we've seen these young players get into the lineup. What have you made of the work for him so far this season and going forward?
He's got a lot of respect around the locker room, and that's a huge thing from a coach. That his background is all OHL, QMJHL. He did a bunch of like World Juniors and Hlinka Gretzky Cups and that kind of stuff. So he's really, really apt at coaching young guys, right? And that's exactly what Utah has is, the Dylan Gunthers and the Logan Coolies and the Maverick Lamoureux and, even Clayton Keller's only 26, same thing with Mikhail Sergachev, even though those guys are, have been around a little while, they're still young. And Turney has a really good way of getting to players like that. Now, whether or not that means he can win the Stanley Cup, we'll see when they eventually get into that range there. He never did win a championship at any level except internationally. So we'll see what he can actually do. Once these players kind of develop into full-time NHLers and into their primes and whatnot. But so far he's had the respect of the locker room. He's done a great job.
Now, Brogan, I just want to ask you, I mean, you're in Utah, obviously, you deal with the fans, social media, you're as close as you ever have been in the past. And I'm sure you interact with people on the daily. What's the excitement level in Utah when it comes to the Four Nation face-off?
That's a really good question. I think people are still have yet to find out about it really, or to really learn what that means, to have a best on best international tournament, or maybe you can't call it best on best because Russia's not there and Czech's not there, but it's a more or less a best on best tournament. And I think people are still trying to get used to hockey and find out what that means. Utah only has 2 players going, and they're 2 Finnish defensemen, so Americans probably don't care about that nearly as much as they would if, say, Clayton Keller were going. So I don't think the level of excitement is quite up there yet. But once the puck drops, maybe it will be. Maybe we'll see some Team USA jerseys around here, or maybe my fellow Canadians will sport some Canada jerseys with me, or we'll see.
Where in Canada are you from?
Vernon, BC.
Oh, right on. You started covering the team, obviously, after graduating J school.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right on. That's awesome. Well, enjoy your time down there. Enjoy the game tonight. Should be a fun one. Sidney Crosby in town. That's always got to be a big deal. And we'll have to get you back on in the future.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That is Brogan Houston, covers the Utah HC. Man. Now, Wanye, would you like to live in Utah, Salt Lake City?
I've heard it's like a less fun version of Denver. That's what I've heard.
I've seen the skyline. It looks beautiful.
It's a big city.
Yeah. You got the Jazz.
If you think that sports teams don't have value to a market, how many hockey fans have Googled what the heck is going on in Utah this season because they know nothing about it?
Well,
It's
I mean,
absolutely increasing their profile.
And how many diehard hockey fans want to go see a game there now? Because they have the bucket list of, I want to go to every rink in the league. There's going to be the jokes. We get your jokes on the text line about certain names that I don't want to get into.
But like, what's the disses of Utah? It's too safe. There's not chaos on every corner. Like, I don't want to live there. It's respectful.
It's true.
I think there's a lot to like about Utah.
It's a place to raise a family.
Amen.
There's no clubbing lifestyle though. You're not in Vegas.
But like, I remember reading a thing one time about John Stockton. He really said he liked living in Utah because it was peaceful. And he said like lots of cities around the league, there's so many off-court distractions and there's something happening every off season. And basically that Utah was a great place to live and a great place to play.
Did Karl Malone like to live there?
I don't think Karl Malone's like a good person.
No, I don't think so.
For lack of a better term on the radio.
Allegedly.
If you're listening, Carl, I don't buy it.
Triple C in a truck says, you mean families? Sure. Great place to raise your families.
Sure, all in one cul-de-sac.
That TLC show. Sister Wives? Something like that?
Not the best branding for the state of Utah.
Yeah, didn't like that Cody guy. Challenger says Post Malone and Sugar Sean live there now in Utah. Seems like a nice place to live. I don't know. Who's Sugar Sean? Is that a rapper?
Sean O'Malley, UFC fighter, former bantamweight champion, but I'm pretty sure he lives in Arizona. I'm pretty sure he lives in Phoenix. I'm like 98% sure he lives in Phoenix.
NBA Youngboy lives in Utah. He just got arrested for running a prescription drug ring. So there's lots going on.
I'm thinking we should try those sodas that those Mormon wives made popular.
What's that?
You add like cream and stuff to soda. I don't know. I just heard about it on the internet. We'll take a look during the break. When we come back, 5 questions with Declan Kruger. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Also, you can watch us on Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X. Connor Halley, Wanye Gratz, Declan Kruger, Liam, peace with you. The Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Sunday, February 9th. Touchdown! The biggest game of the year. On 30 TVs.
Only at On the Rocks. Join host Ryan Jesperson at OTR's Rock and Bull Super Party.
Tickets only $30 and include
guaranteed seating,
a team t-shirt,
prepaid moosehead,
and an all-you-can-eat tailgate buffet.
Plus prizes each quarter.
And one person will take home $1,000 at the end of the game.
Touchdown! The Rock and Bull Super Party, February 9th.
Tickets at OnTheRocksYEG.com.
You know, this year I can't decide what to work on for my New Year's resolution. See my confidence, my appearance, or my general happiness.
Why not improve all three by finally addressing your hair loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Vancelia. Receding hairlines and bald spots can chip away at your self-image, make you look older, and feel unattractive. Let's discuss your options for regaining a full natural head of hair and make this the year you get your mojo back. Book a free first consultation today at drvancelia.com.
He's done it all. Grammy Awards, Billboard hits, over 10 million albums sold. Live in 2025, River Cree Resort and Casino proudly presents the one and only T.I. March 8th in the venue. PI Live. Tickets on sale now at rivercreeresort.com.
River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, it's Culligan.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Catch a tan, cause I was under them neon lights every single Saturday night, yeah. Everybody knew they could find me there.
Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Promo code Gregor50. Get a $50 free play. Use your game sense. Also today, it is the 649 draw. $26 million. Wanye, with $26 million, what would you do? Be a drop in the bank account.
Do you want to hear something terrible?
Yeah.
I've never played the lottery in my life. I've never bought a 50-50. None of it.
Even at Oilers games, eh?
I want somebody else to win. They look so happy. When you see these people being brought out, they look so happy with their big checks. And I just think, you know what? Good for you.
That could be you, though.
Yeah.
You'd rather earn your money.
I think so. I think it would be a disincentive. I think it would be like, why bother? And the next thing you know, I've got 8 attendants feeding me. I haven't left my solid gold bed in months. It wouldn't do well for me. I need to get up and need to have a purpose.
That's fair. That's fair. Gregor talks about the $1,000 a day. I think that'd be cool. But you would need a purpose. I think I'd take some. Maybe you could take some of that money if you won $1,000 a day and like take $100 every day and buy food for the needy.
Well, if you had $23 million, Connor, you could probably buy some food for the needy.
26 mil.
Unbelievable. Tax-free. Lotto winnings are tax-free in Canada.
PlayAlberta.ca. That's your sign to go get it. But remember, use your game sense. A lot of texts rolling in here about Utah names. A lot of repeats. I want the serious ones. The rig said Nomads. I think that's a cool name. That was always like in Sons of Anarchy. He's a nomad. One time Jax was like, I'm going nomad. No charter. So I think it's cool.
No charter.
No, you don't have a home charter.
If you do HC, you can do all this branding. You can do like Sons of Anarchy type branding on the scoreboard. You can use clips from the show. You can make it hockey. Most people in Utah probably didn't watch that show. It'd be new to them.
They should give it a view. Let's get to 5 questions. Brought to you by The Brick. You can save up to 60% off clearance items plus incredible deals on overstock, scratch, and dent products. Save up to $1,300 off sofas and get up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture at The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right. Pretty simple one here, isn't it? Which team wins the President's Trophy?
Wani, I'm going with the Oilers. Bold take in Edmonton. The Jets, yeah, I think they're going to fade a little bit. The Capitals, I think, are a good team, but I think they're going to drop off. I'm going with the Edmonton Oilers. I think they have it in their mind that they know when they need to ramp up their play, and that's going to propel them to the President's Trophy this season. Best record in hockey.
I agree. There would be never a conversation where the Oilers are top 3 and I wouldn't pick them. Oilers for the President's Trophy.
Question number 2. Bill Belichick suggested that the Super Bowl trophy be named after Tom Brady. Are we for or against it?
I'm old school, Declan. I don't think living players should have a trophy named after them. Yes, Tom Brady's the GOAT, but I think that's something reserved for, like, statues even make me a little bit uneasy. Wait till they're in the ground.
I don't think we should. And now this is coming from someone in the NHL who has said, I would love to see the names change. The Hart, the Norris. I love to pay homage to some of the great players. And, you could retire these trophies and put them away. Then the Hart becomes the Gretzky. The Norris could be whomever, Bobby Orr. Change it up a little bit. But I don't want to change the championship trophy in that league. Stanley Cup forever. Lombardi forever. So I'm against it, Bill. I'm sorry.
Question number 3. Where does Brandon Saad land?
I don't know. Like, good on him. You know, he's sacrificing some money. He's going to go to a team that he feels can contend. Clearly didn't feel that way in St. Louis. Maybe the usage wasn't in a position he had hoped. I don't know. I'll say the Toronto Maple Leafs bring him in to provide some depth on their back end and some veteran leadership to propel their underachievers in the playoffs.
It's a tough call. So I want to make sure I understand. So you're pro Brandon Saad sitting out?
I respect that he's he's putting winning a championship over money, but that's a lot of money to sacrifice. 5.4 schmil, too much maybe, but I respect his decision.
Question number 4. What % chance would you give it that Sidney Crosby ends his career in Pittsburgh?
100%.
87%. I think there is that chance. Rupper said it early on the show. Gretzky was traded. I mean, that's kind of the classic line. Anything could happen. But I don't know. It would be cool because I don't want to see Sidney not make the playoffs. He's 30. He'll be 38 this year. He's on the back 9. And I think Rupper made some really good points. Like, he probably has some loyalty to that team and to the other guys. They're Malkin and Letang. You know, they already shipped out Flower or let him go in the draft expansion. But he probably wants to be there till the end. So many superstars have gone on to play second teams, and it doesn't ruin their legacy. So I'm okay if at the end of the day he goes to a team, he gets a chance to be, playing the playoffs again. It'd be weird, but I'm going to say there still is a chance. 13%.
And question number 5.
1 sec, Declan. I think Bonnie, did you want to hop in there?
I was just going to say that this is a guy who lived with Mario Lemieux as a rookie, who was sort of brought up to be as close to the new Mario Lemieux as he can be. Mario Lemieux didn't do a quick half-season signing with the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I don't think that Crosby will either. I think he wants to be of that same archetype.
All right. Question 5. On this day in history, Romeo and Juliet was performed for the first time, and Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven was published for the first time. So I ask, what is your favorite classic story of all time and one you can absolutely not get behind?
Do you have a good answer, Wanye?
This is extremely intellectual, Declan. I appreciate it. My favorite classic story of all time is probably the movie Starship Troopers. It's a heck of a movie. Story I can't get behind? I don't know. That hockey book, The Jersey. Why would anybody want to be wearing a Habs jersey? Doesn't make any sense.
Was To Kill a Mockingbird based off a movie or a book?
Oh, yeah.
Story. Is that classic enough, Declan?
Yeah, it's like that's a super classic. Yeah.
It's from the 60s, right? But it's not like Shakespeare by any means. I'd say that one. I enjoyed that. And then I enjoyed the movie version as well. Gregory Peck. One I can't get behind. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm trying to think of one that I have to go back to English class because it's well documented. I don't read a lot. I'm not a big fan of books per se. So I don't even know what I'd go with, Declan. I'm sorry. What's overrated? What's one I can't get behind? I don't know. Romeo and Juliet. They should have just fled and been together and been happy. What do you got, Declan?
Well, overrated. I was never a fan of The Catcher in the Rye. I always just thought Holden was a little spoiled, which I guess was kind of the point of the book, but never got behind that. I always thought he was a bit of a brat. One of the Crime and Punishment by Fedor. That was a good one.
You've read Crime and Punishment?
Yeah. I read it probably when I was too young to read it. I probably read it when I was 17, 16.
What on earth?
Yeah. So maybe those two.
Declan?
And I was also, actually, I got a better answer for one I didn't get behind because I had to do it in my grade 10 English class and I just could care less about it. And I'm sure it was a good story, but The Merchant of Venice, another Shakespeare one. Were you in that English class with McKinnon? Yeah. And it was just this guy, who's the villain in that one? Whatever the guy was, the guy who needs our teacher was such a champion of him that it soured the book for me.
I got a guy
not book but play.
Got a guy who's reading Dostoevsky in grade 3, and then a co-host who says I don't like books. How do we find ourselves in the same desk?
Declan and Brandon are so intelligent, Like
No,
I hear them
false.
have.
Thank you, but that's so false.
Turn his mic off.
Don't push that out.
They are very intelligent beings. They went to university, somehow fell into radio. Brandon went to the University of Alberta. Declan, you were in Lethbridge, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to tell your whole story. Here, yeah. But you guys talk, and you're talking like state capitals, countries, all these things where I'm just like in the background, like, Connor McDavid's a good hockey player. Like, they are very intelligent. So that kind of question would be better served for other people, not me. I am not into books. I grew up reading Sports Illustrated. That was the extent of it.
Don't underestimate your intelligence, Connor. Your knowledge of sports is encyclopedic. You're like a young Jason Gregor.
Well, not that far. I don't know I'll ever get to that level, but I mean, what's a classic book for you then, Declan? Like, what's your top 3?
My top 3 classics that like I enjoy?
Yeah.
I'll say Crime and Punishment in there. I'll say, if you consider it a classic, and this one's just kind of a pretentious answer, but I'll say Clockwork Orange by Burgess. And then I'll also add, if you want me to get really, really pretentious with it, I'll say The Republic by Plato.
Hey, if it's good, it's good. But no, Plato. I'm the one who's like, when people tell me the book was better, I'm just envious. Like, your imagination must be so much better than mine, because my mind wanders, maybe waters too. When I get a movie, I can see the character, I can, visualize it, but through books, it just doesn't happen for me.
What about an audiobook?
Never tried.
You should give it a go.
I mean, I like podcasts, so maybe that's a different version. Some good ones coming in here, but Shylock from Manny? That's okay. Dropping characters for us. A Confederacy of Dunces, also top 3. That could be a book that could be a joke on me for reading it, and I would have no idea because I don't know that. Is that a real thing, Declan?
Is what, sorry? I hate to say I was a little too. I'm so sorry.
A Confederacy of Dunces.
It might be describing us.
Yeah. That could be a joke on us. Okay, so that was a book. A novel from John Kennedy Toole in 1980. All right. Man, I would love to get into books, but it just won't happen. I'm not even going to pretend.
Want to know who my favorite author is, Declan?
Robert Munch?
No, I'm well-read. I like George Orwell best.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
I've read all of his stuff. He's an interesting dude.
Yeah, he is. He's crazy. We should do like a little Orwellian book club.
Oh,
the 3 of us, or 4 of us actually. Sorry,
3 of you guys should definitely do that.
One time I was backpacking around, Declan, and I had a whole bunch of George Orwell books in my suitcase like a loser. And they said, your baggage is overweight at the airport. So I put on most of my clothes like Joey in that episode of Friends. So I was carrying around books like a goof. It was all Orwell's.
You should get one of those e-readers.
This is before e-readers, Connor.
Okay. Too bad. You should have had an MP3 player with audiobooks instead.
This may have been before MP3 players. I don't really recall. About 2015.
2015?
Yeah.
I had an MP3 player in 2005.
I know, but I'm making a joke.
Oh. Does Goosebumps count as a classic book? Animorphs? Do you ever read Animorphs?
Man, I'll tell you, Goosebumps better classify as a classic book because I used to read the hell out of those things. I love them. Also, Geronimo Stilton. You guys ever read that, or was that after your time? Geronimo Stilton. He was like this rat who went on his adventures.
Based on a true story?
Yeah. No, it was like a book for like 8-year-olds when you're like learning to like advance your, lexicon a little bit, but it was cool.
Ben Dangles, his Magic School Bus. Good books. Barney says, Connor, watch Merchant of Venice movie version with Al Pacino. See, like that's something I could get behind. But yeah, I'm going to say, Greg, Goosebumps counts as a classic. Who didn't read Goosebumps? Goosebumps TV show, or Are You Afraid of the Dark? Neither?
Neither.
Shaking his head. Declan,
Nope.
do you watch it? Oh, you're a horror guy. You probably watch one of those.
Yeah, no, I've dabbled for sure.
She says, after listening to 1440 and hearing a text mentioning McDavid's points are down for the second year in a row, Stan Bowman now entertaining trade offers. Ooh, I don't think so. Chris says, my 8-year-old son, actually didn't say son, I added that, loves Geronimo Stilton. So it's out there. And Mark says, choose your own adventure books. I died every time. I didn't even know that was actually an outcome of those books. Never read. Berenstein Bears. You know what I think about when I see Berenstein Bears? That's it. Not even the books. That's where my mind goes. Look it up. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. Talk some more sports, of course. And we'll get into the NFL at about 5:20 as well. But right now, Sports 1440 update with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Booster Juice. Shake those wintertime blues with Booster Juice and enjoy one of our many warm and savory grilled fresh food options made in-house daily with the finest ingredients. Visit Booster Juice today or download the Booster Rewards app.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And your Sports 1440 update. 3 games set to go in the NHL in just a moment's time. Here, the Wild and Maple Leafs, Los Angeles Kings and Panthers, and Flyers and Devils. 2 more games on the schedule later today at 7 and 7:30. Vancouver in Nashville and Pittsburgh in Utah. In the NBA, 3 games set to go in just a moment's time as well. Brooklyn and Charlotte, Detroit and Indiana, and Toronto in Washington taking on the Wizards. News around the sporting world today. In the baseball world, the Rays and infielder Ha-Sung Kim are in agreement on a 2-year, $29 million deal. Rockets forward Dylan Brooks has been fined $25,000 by the NBA. Flyers goaltender Samuel Ersson will replace New Jersey Devils netminder Jacob Markstrom for Team Sweden in the Four Nations face-off. And the St. Louis Blues have agreed to a mutual contract termination with forward Brandon Saad. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Hockey is back. And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. They're blowing out furniture for up to 60% off the original price, with in-stock items ready to go and additional unadvertised discounts. Check out your nearest Brick location to save up to $1,300 off sofas, up to 25% off bedroom and dining, and up to 40% off mattresses. Plus, more deals in every department. It's a new year, and the Brick is clearing out their old inventory. Exclusions apply. The Brick, saving you more.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Johnson, whoa.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson again. Did you know that all mechanical equipment has a typical life expectancy? A furnace and air conditioner generally lasts 15 to 25 years, and your hot water tank is more in the 6 to 12 year range. With that in mind, your mechanical equipment will last longer with regular maintenance and service from the pros at Weiss Johnson. Visit wjheats.com today to book your service or provide you with an estimate for a new furnace, air conditioner, or hot water tank that is long past its prime.
It's the place for Honda. It's the place for service too. I love it. I love my Honda taste. Would you buy? Would you buy? Would you buy? You would buy it. You would. It's the place.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site service? Rain or shine, Japa's service department is here for you. Get your quote now at japamachinery.com.
Sports radio is back. The Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Stefan Kruger, Liam Peace with you here. EWell Studios in West Edmonton Mall. The Jason Gregor Show is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. You can use promo code Gregor50 when you make a deposit and get a $50 free play. Also, Lotto 649 tonight, $26 million. Get it at PlayAlberta.ca. And remember, use your game sense. Go to GameSenseAB.ca and stay within your limits. Some good books coming in here. A lot that I don't really know much about. We'll get into that later on in the show because I think Declan and Wanye can probably have a more educated discussion when it comes to these titles because they go right over my head. But right now, we are going to get to the Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They specialize in underground infrastructure. They make your life more enjoyable with running water and indoor plumbing. They are the grinders of construction. GS Construction. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet joins us now. Spec, how are you doing today?
Oh, pretty fair. Connor, what's happening in the world of sports today?
Oh, I mean, players losing out on $5 million to potentially go for a cup run. Some players making more money in baseball. I'm sure you saw the Brandon Saad news there being terminated by the St. Louis Blues.
Yes, I did for sure. And he opted. It's not very often you see a player walk away from $5 million to, they talk about guys. The term is betting on yourself. That's a guy who's really betting on himself. So, what do our listeners think? Of course, some of them are going to say the Oilers should pick up Brandon Saad. No.
You know what? Not too many saying that in a statement. We've had a few questions. We had Tyler Yaremchuk on the show earlier on. In our discussion, we kind of think the Oilers' bottom six is probably okay the way it is. Where would you come out on that?
Yeah, they're old enough, right? They're old enough. They have enough guys who are past their best before date when it comes to skating. I don't see it. If they didn't have, a group of guys like Henrique is older, Corey Perry's older, Jan Mark's a little bit older. Jeff Skinner's not young, right? Kapanen's been around a long time. So I think they've filled their quota of older veteran guys who have been on winning teams. And I don't mind Saad. Like, I'd take Brandon Saad in my team, but I probably wouldn't take him on this team.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, if you're a team that has Stanley Cup aspirations, why not take a guy who's won before, been around the block? And, I think this kind of just shows how much he wants to win. Didn't think it was going to happen in St. Louis. Now the chance to sign with the contender. And there's some teams that would welcome that experience. So I think he'd be a great acquisition for a few teams. Now, sticking with the team in town here today, obviously, they skate today, back in action tomorrow, taking on the Detroit Red Wings. No Matthias Ekholm at practice. I don't know if that's illness or anything like that, but you got a chance to see Klingberg out there. Are we expecting Klingberg to get into the lineup tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't know. Chris Knobloch was asked that very question and hummed and hawed and said, maybe today, maybe Saturday. If not Saturday, maybe the next game. So no one's given us any clue. Like, he's looked just great in practice ever since he's been here. I did see today, as we were talking to Knobloch, Klingberg walked by with his helmet, his stick and gloves, and his uniform and shoulder pads on. He had just come back, I'm guessing, from taking the head and shoulder shots that they use on the, on the scoreboard and all the other places. So if that's a step closer to playing, he took that step today for what that's worth.
Can't be a bad sign.
So if he does play, they'll have a fresh head and shoulder shot of John Klingberg in an Oilers jersey. But honestly, nobody knows. Only the Oilers know, and I'm not sure they do. If they're, I heard Stauffer saying the other day that he's probably going to play tomorrow night. And usually when Stauffer's saying that on a Tuesday, he's generally got it right on a Thursday. So let's see. But Knobloch sure didn't tip us off today.
Now, just looking at the way this group has played as a unit defensively, are you in a rush to shake things up, or, do you just have that luxury to give it a chance with Klingberg?
Well, I'm not in a rush to shake it up, but I am ready to start to figure out if Klingberg's going to be part of my solution or not. You know, like what it's the and even Knobloch referenced the trade deadline today in talking about Klingberg. You got to give Klingberg a chance to find his game, you know, a good week to 10 days before the trade deadline, so you can say, okay, you know, this guy's going to help us in this manner. He's going to be able to play this much. Oh, maybe he's not the second pairing guy we thought, but maybe he is a third pairing guy. So, you know, is he better than Emberson? Is he not better than Emberson? You got to figure it out before the trade deadline comes. So it's not like you're in a hurry to shake your defense up, but you are in a hurry to figure out what Klingberg's got, because that's going to shape how you act at the deadline.
Now, we've seen Noah Philp get into 10 games so far this season. From what you've seen in just the progression in his game, it's still early, right? Are you comfortable with the Oilers going forward with him as their fourth line center? Just because on the topic, we had Ryan Holt on today, and Derek Ryan's going to make his Condors debut tonight. But just the fourth line center spot or Noah Philp, have you seen enough to think, you know, we could have something here in his first NHL season?
You know, to me, that depends on who's available at the trade deadline. Like if it turns out that they have to spend all their assets in another place, and they spend them wisely in other places, and they say, we're going to give the job to Philp, backed up by Derek Ryan, right? He's always going to be there as a safety net. I can live with that at this point. For what I've seen from Noah Philp, I can live with it. He skates fine. His face-off from the right, he's a right-hand face-off guy. The Oilers are lacking one of those. And, you know, they can use, like Knobloch was saying today, he was sort of hinting at the fact that he's a righty in the draw, you know, you might see some situations even where, or this is how I read it, where he's taken some shifts as the second centerman on a line just to cover them in the face-off circle, right? In case someone gets thrown out. So, you know, yeah, I can live with them. I think I can live with them. Now, if they end up not doing anything else, if Klingberg's their second pairing defenseman, if there's a really experienced, awesome third line center somewhere out there that you can get for cheap that can play fourth line for you, and he's better than Noah Philp, well, I got no problem with taking the veteran and putting Philp in the press box. He's just a kid. He'll get his playing time in. It doesn't have to be right now.
Totally agree. Absolutely. I mean, if you can make that upgrade, I'd have no issue with the team doing so. The line's down in practice today. Nugent with McDavid and Brown. So something we've seen before. Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Arvidsson. And then the third line, Jeff Skinner, maybe he's dropped back into the lineup with Adam Henrique and Zach Hyman. I like the makings of that third line on paper. Do you think it translates to on-ice success?
Well, I mean, you sure do like the scoring pedigree, you know, of that line. I mean, you got a 50-goal scorer in Hyman. You got a guy who's scored 35 his whole life in Skinner. And Henrique's been a pretty good sentiment around here. So, like, the Oilers kind of go one or two ways on you, don't they? They start the game the other night with Draisaitl, McDavid in the top line, and they say, okay, we're coming straight at you with our best line, our best guys. Hyman's on the right side, you know, try to stop us. And now they're going to come at Detroit with a very balanced lineup, right? With three lines that can all get you. One line's got McDavid on it. One line's got Draisaitl on it. And the next line has Hyman and Skinner on it. So, you know, if you get a team who doesn't have a great third pairing, and there's a lot of those teams out there, Connor, that alignment is going to put a lot of stress on whoever's changing the D-men on that opponent, because all those lines can hurt you. And I personally, I think the Oilers are a better team when they spread it out, and they also leave themselves with the option of changing mid-game if it's not going their way. I like when they start with McDavid and Draisaitl apart, and I don't mind this third line one bit. I think it's a pretty powerful look at third lines around the league and see how many of them scare you offensively as much as that one does.
I don't know if I've ever, and maybe I'm wrong here, but McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Perry, each line is a 50-goal score. I know it's been a while for Perry, but
yeah,
kind of wild.
Man.
Yeah, to have that much depth. Mark Spector joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley and Wanya Gretz sitting in. I'm sure you saw the news. It's not going to be the Salt Lake City or Utah Yetis, pardon me. That's not going to happen due to copyright reasons. So it's going to be either the Utah Mammoth, the Utah Hockey Club, or the Utah Wasatch, I don't know, mountain range in Utah. Do you have a preference between those three?
Well, I hate Wasatch. Like, what do you say? Like, I'm very proud today to be a Wasatch. Like, how's that work? So,
like the Wild.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Wild. I'm proud to be a Wild. I hate those. There's a word for them, and I'm a writer, so I'm supposed to know it. I hate those names. The Extreme, right? See, that's so roller hockey. So no, I don't like the Wasatch one bit. What was the other one?
Mammoth, and then just the HC.
Yeah, I don't mind the Mammoth, I suppose. Is there some history of Mammoth? Like Mammoth, weren't mammoths like in the Arctic? I don't even know. Mammoths were pre-Ice Age, weren't they? Like, where did mammoths exist on our map? I don't have a hot clue. Do they find the bones of mammoths around Salt Lake City? What do we know on this?
Well, they did live in northern parts of Asia, Europe, and North America during the last Ice Age. Northern U.S. and Canada.
Okay, well, maybe that's a hotbed for mammoths. So if that's the case, sure. I'm a little disappointed. You think that there's got guys who get as rich as Ryan Smith, who owns Utah, and whoever the guy or girl or woman or whoever that owns the Yeti cooler company. People that get that rich do it because they're smart and innovative, and they make, they're able to pivot when the necessary time comes. I'm surprised they couldn't make some kind of deal. Couldn't they? Couldn't the Yeti cooler company come up with some kind of way that it helped them, and maybe they're partners somehow, and maybe they get a hell of a deal on board side? I don't know. Why does Yeti have to fall through like that? Yeti was the best one, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I thought, and then just for marketing and all the things they could have done with that would have been fantastic. I don't know. And there's another team in the NLL, the Colorado Mammoth. Assuming they'll be cool with it, but yeah, Spec, I'm with you. As I look in this, it looks like Wisconsin had a really dense population when it comes to the woolly mammoth. So some in Utah, but not quite Wisconsin level.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
or Minnesota.
Emberson grew up in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Ty Emberson, and his rink that his dad took him to hockey games at was Minnesota. So they're not as close as Minnesota, but they're somewhere close to Utah. I don't know. Don't ask me, man, but whatever. The point would be, I don't love hockey club, the Utah Hockey Club. That's a soccer. Why are we taking those our cues from football, right? That's a football thing. I think hockey should remain unique and not steal ideas from the other sports that way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it, but I think at the end of the day, I'm kind of like you. And we just were discussing the Utah HC. Coincidentally, we had a guest booked beforehand, Brogan Houston, talking about the team, and then that news broke. He doesn't like it as a writer. I don't like it as someone who does updates and saying, the Edmonton Oilers taking on the HC. I'd rather say the Mammoth or whatever it might be. So I think I'm with you on that one.
See, my idea when they joined the league was the many wives, but no one seems to like that so much. So I guess we're not going to go with the Utah theme. I don't know what we're going to do. What about something off the choir? Is there something off the Tabernacle Choir we can do here?
I don't know. I mean, hey, I'll tell you, we got a lot of the joke names coming in. The many wives. I'm trying to think of the logo. Just an army of women across the front could be interesting, but I mean, people are saying the Wolverines, the Outlaws, names like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a decent name, but it's such a pain. It's like then you got to also people are squatting all over these websites, right? That's the other thing. It's so hard to be a team to introduce a new name because there's already guys out there probably that have copyrighted the www. UtahMammoths.com, right?
Yeah.
That's another pain in the rear end, especially in the States. So listen, man, I'm just a dumb sports writer. Just give me something that's easy to spell and that I can, that you can use a plural of, and don't make me think too hard. Okay. No hyphens, if you don't mind. I wouldn't like any hyphens.
Yeah. Simplicity. It goes a long way. We're joined by Mark Spector here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in. What did you make of the play last night? Miro Heiskanen it didn't look good as he left the ice, as Mark Stone of the Golden Knights kind of propelled into his knee. Heiskanen needed to be helped off, wasn't putting a lot of weight on it. What did you make of that play?
Just a mistake. It's just a mistake. I thought two things. It doesn't look, I didn't think the stick that got into Stone's skates was going to throw him off much. But maybe it did. These guys are at a fast pace, and sometimes that stick can trip you. I'm not going to say that it didn't. The other thing, I thought that Heiskanen kind of made a bit of a juke to his right at that moment. It was almost like he kind of, what do they say in basketball, where you break a guy's ankles?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought that he just broke Stone just like froze and toe picked, but it's not it wasn't like he threw a block at his legs or anything. And I see some stuff out there that people are saying, oh, that Stone's so dirty. That's not what's he throwing his head into the guy's thigh? Like, that is just not the definition. We've seen a lot of dirty plays. I've seen a million knees taken out and all that. I've never seen a guy try to take someone's knee out with their head and shoulder. Have you?
No, it would be an interesting tactic. I've seen it in football, actually.
Well, yeah, football, rugby, sure. I mean, in football, it's legal.
John Runyon, player of safety, head. Notorious, I think, for doing that. But
I think people get caught up with everybody hates Stone because he is always on LTIR at the wrong time and blah, blah, blah. But no, just bad luck. And that's a big one for the Dallas Stars, and less so the Finnish Four Nations team. I haven't seen any news today on Heiskanen, which frankly isn't great. Usually when it's good news, it comes out quicker. So let's see what happens, but I hope the best for Four in Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they were on the ice today, so I guess we'll find out tomorrow, probably at the earliest. And even Pete DeBoer even said, like, Coach Stone, no, he's not a dirty player. Thought it could have been a penalty. Spec, just before we let you go here, not NHL news, but Bill Belichick, I guess, ruffling some feathers, saying the Super Bowl trophy should be renamed after Tom Brady. I guess he doesn't like the Lombardi. Personally, I'm okay with individual names being like if you wanted to trade the MVP award in the NHL. Like, I think Gretzky one day, that'd be kind of cool. Some people would hate it, but I don't like changing a championship trophy. What do you think of the idea to change the Lombardi to the Tom Brady trophy?
Yeah, I don't like it either. There's got to be a trophy out there. Like, football's different. I don't know all the individual trophies in football. Like, do they have as many trophies as we have in hockey? Do they have a best quarterback trophy?
They're not named after players typically.
Okay, like, I know they're all Pro Bowl. They're all get named to Pro Bowls, and baseball has their Gold Gloves and all that. But hockey, we have our specifically named trophies, usually for guys who have been dead for like 40 years. Mm-hmm. So I get how in hockey we're starting to roll over on some of these. They introduced the Rocket Richard Trophy. I like that. Conn Smythe, Conn Smythe did a lot in hockey, but he was also part of a pretty dark time for the players. I could see how you might turn that over one day. I could see how the Art Ross, could anyone spot Art Ross in a lineup anymore? I don't know who the hell Art Ross is. That probably should be named the Wayne Gretzky Trophy at some point, don't you think?
100%.
So, but are we renaming the Stanley Cup? We're not renaming the Stanley Cup, right? I don't know who Lord Stanley is. I never read his book. I don't have a great depth of knowledge on all the stuff he did, but I know he donated that mug to the Ottawa Silver Sevens or whatever it was. And we're not renaming the Stanley Cup, pal. I don't care. The fact that speaking of the Yetis, there's a cooler company that tried to steal the name here. Stanley Cup's never changing, nor should the Super Bowl.
I'm with you. All right, Speckle, thanks for doing this. We'll talk to you tomorrow as we get set for the Oilers and the Red Wings.
Hey, sounds good, Connor.
There you go. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. They are hiring, so go check them out. Wanye, what do you know about Art Ross?
I think you got to honor the history of the game. I think you keep the names alive by naming things after them. And Art Ross, to be quite honest, I'm not quite sure what he did, but he must have done something to do with scoring. I didn't know that Lord Stanley wrote a book. I'm just looking this up. I think it's cool to have old stuff named after old people. It keeps their name alive.
If you told me you wanted to trade names and the Norris became the Bobby Orr, that'd be cool, because we're all, breaking news, we're all going to die. It'd be cool to have these names live on, but I don't know, the greatest player of all time should have a trophy named after him, in my humble opinion.
Would you change all all of the trophies or just to some of them?
I think I would gradually change them all, except for Stanley Cup. That's where I draw the line.
Change the Norris to the Evan Bouchard.
One day.
One day.
Could
Well
happen.
deserved. Well deserved.
Best offensive defenseman, the Evan Bouchard Trophy.
Least divisive defenseman, the Evan Bouchard Trophy.
Yeah. That'd be a good one. Yeah. I don't know. Let us know. 1-833-401-1440. What do you think? Would you be in favor of changing some trophies? All trophies? None. 1-833-401-1440. When we come back, we'll get to the NFL report, talk a little bit about the Reese's Senior Bowl and what's going on down there, some players to watch out for, and more on the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X, brought to you by playalberta.ca.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
You don't know what awaits you on the road to come, but with the 2025 XC90 from Volvo of Edmonton, you'll have the versatility to take on whatever life throws at you. The new XC90, a luxurious SUV with seating for up to 7, boasts newly upgraded body and wheel design. It's the perfect choice to drive into the coming year. And right now, you'll save $4,500 and lease from 1.49% on all in-stock 2025 XC90s. Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the only place to call for heating your home. So when it's time to replace your old furnace, call Legacy. Or for 24-hour repair with no overtime rates. Legacy even heats your shower with hot water tanks.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
And with no interest and no payments for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Much of our challenges in healthcare can be solved by spending public dollars on a public system. Our healthcare system can't wait any longer.
Visit rebuildourhealthcare.ca to learn more.
Cold, icy mornings, frozen windshield, snow in the forecast, and your vehicle won't start. You know what that means, Alberta. Winter is here. Don't get left out in the cold. Head to Napa Auto Parts today to gear up for the frosty months ahead. Winter won't wait, and neither should you. From premium batteries, starters, and alternators to high-quality wiper blades, antifreeze, and snow brushes, Napa Auto Parts has everything you need to get your vehicle winter ready and running. With over 85 locations in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store or visit NapaCanada.com for all your trusted parts, tools, equipment, and automotive needs. That's Napa know-how.
Let's act together to stop the destruction. We can rebuild our healthcare by respecting frontline workers and by putting patients before profits and politics.
Visit rebuildourhealthcare.ca to learn more.
I'm away downtown, walking fast, faces path, and I'm homebound.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
He's not just another pair of glasses. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Thanks for checking out Edmonton Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Do you think time went past me by? 'Cause you know I walk 1,000 miles if I can just stay tonight. Don't touch like the memories when I think of you.
Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Jason is on vacation. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Wanya Gretz, Liam Peacemaker with you here at the UL Studios. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Use code word Gregor. Get a $50 free play with your deposit. Use your game sense. A few texts coming in here. Dave says, damn, Connor getting morbid. Soggy Corp says, Connor Halley coming in with a motivational speech. We're all going to die.
Said soggy corpse.
You know what? Sometimes you just got to look at reality. What did Devin Cooley say after his game? I look up. I'm like, wow, a goal on 40 shots or whatever. I'm like, I feel good. It's just like nobody cares, you know? Nothing's really going to matter. We're all going to die.
We may not die. Not if the singularity occurs where we transcend and move into technology. Your iPhone 35, Connor, it's probably you living in it.
Well, I'm all for it.
Would you extend your life indefinitely using technology?
Yeah, why not?
What if it's a hellscape? What if it's a slow, poisonous
Can I just
existence?
power down?
It's your dream?
There's got to be that option. Soggy Corpse also says, I agree with retiring trophies. Give them a spot in the Hall of Fame and name it after the ones currently growing the game. Bobby Orr, Gretz, Yzerman, etc. That's what I mean. Like, you could still put these trophies in the Hockey Hall of Fame, give them a permanent home. People can go view, talk about it. I highly recommend going to the Hockey Hall of Fame if you've never done so. But yeah, like, just, it would be very cool if Mario Lemieux had an award, or, you know, Gretzky, Paul Coffey. I'm sounding like a homer. Mike Bossy. You know, just the goats of the game. Lidstrom.
If Ovechkin gets the all-time goal scoring record, do you call it the Ovechkin trophy?
Man, I think you have to.
I think you have to.
If he's the greatest goal scorer, people are going to push back on that one, but I think you have to. Big Wally Style says, if renaming trophies, they can work on the definition and criteria. Make the Gretzky trophy a true MVP award, not most valuable to their team. Like, what if the Gretzky was just the most outstanding player?
But again, I think you name things after people of historical note to keep them in our minds and in our memories. Look at Joey Moss. We got the Joey Moss Cup. We got the Joey Moss statue, which Zach Hyman always fist bumps, and I respect that. This is how you keep them around. Would you rename them down the road? No. Joey earned the right.
Yeah, but that's individualized to a team.
Art Ross, whatever he did, inventor of the harmonica. I don't know what he did. Something significant, probably hockey related.
It hasn't even helped you, though. You know the name, but we don't know the historical value.
The real think piece there, Connor.
Could research it. Let's do a little NFL talk here. The NFL report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where their rates never change. Need service late at night or on the weekends? You don't need overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Declan Kruger, let's dive into this just a little bit here. The Reese Senior Bowl going on right now down in Mobile, Alabama. The annual event where some of the top players in college football go. And for some players, maybe not too much to gain. You know, we know how good they are and what they bring to the program, but there's going to be every NFL scout there watching this event. Who are some names that you're going to be taking a look at and seeing maybe what they can do? I love the event because, you know, you find those guys who maybe were like 7th round picks. Teams can fall in love with them. They get drafted maybe just a little bit earlier.
Well, my guy, Dylan Gabriel, quarterback for the Oregon Ducks, he's going to be at the Senior Bowl on the national team, so obviously going to have my eye on him. One guy who I actually think might be the best quarterback playing in the Reese's Senior Bowl is going to be Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. Thought he was a guy who came into this season with Heisman level talent. I still think he possessed that. He's going to be on the American team there with Dylan Gabriel. So those, you know, Jackson Dart is one guy I'm going to really have my eye on, because he's a guy who also apparently a lot of reports coming out that he's shooting up draft boards.
Yeah,
like he's a guy that a lot of scouts and a lot of GMs even at this point really believe in his pure talent and think that he can be a guy who talent wise is, you know, maybe a bit of a can't miss prospect. So what he'll be able to do in the game will be crazy as well. Ollie Gordon, the running back out of Oklahoma State, was what I thought one of the better backs coming into the year. You didn't hear much from him this year. That's because Oklahoma State lost 9 straight, but he's a guy who I think is definitely going to be someone you should focus on and have some shine, because he has real good burst, and he's not really a power back. Like, he's not a guy who hits the A gap hard and meets the linebacker head on. He's a guy who's going to bounce it like CD gap and try and beat you with his speed, beat you with his east-west movement. I think that's cool. And I think running backs like that, if they have that skill set, can have longer NFL careers, just because obviously, you bounce outside the tackles, you're not meeting max in the hole or anything. You can have a bit longer of a lifespan. So if he can perform well, it'd be really interesting to see what he can do. And how about this one, Connor? I didn't know this until earlier today, that Laurier's quarterback, Taylor Elgersama, is going to be on the national team. So cool that a guy playing CIS football had like 35 touchdowns this past year. I think he had over 4,000 yards. Not 100% sure on that. Would have to be fact checked. I think he had over 4,000 yards. I know he definitely had 35 touchdowns. How cool is it that a guy like that is going to be at the Senior Bowl? So he's someone to keep an eye on as well. Anytime you see a guy playing CIS football go down to an event like this, just so cool. Really, respect that the scouts have the eyes for him and say, hey, we're going to put you on this team, have you a chance to showcase yourself. I think that's awesome. So watching him as well, of course.
Yeah, and I think one of the things about him, he's been to 3 CFL camps, I believe. So he's getting a chance to be around pros. Certainly a name to watch out for when the game is going on Saturday. Donovan Edwards out of Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, he was big in the national championship season. Big enough to get on the cover of a video game.
Man, did they butcher those cover athletes, by the way.
And then this year kind of falls off. Hey, Michigan lost a lot of really good players. That's undoubted. The team wasn't as good. Lost that great head coach as well. But yeah, I mean, I think the running back position is going to be a fun one to watch as well. And when it all gets going, it should be good. Let's just jump to the pro game here. We saw the Liam Cohen presser as he was introduced to the Jags media. He butchered the Duval.
So bad, man. That one's going to live on in infamy. It was so corny.
Whenever they do something bad, that video is going to pop up. Not the most aura, as the kids say. And I'll go back to, oh my goodness, Cardinals head coach. When he got the job, it was a lot of the same kind of
Johnny Gannon.
Yeah, a lot of concerns like, man, this guy's kind of doesn't seem to be a leader of men, a bit of a weirdo.
Goofy.
Their defense can play with some ferocity. But yeah, down in Jacksonville, and I said this the second he pulled that stuff to get that job, that I didn't like the hire. I don't have any sympathy for the Jags with this one if it doesn't work out.
I'll say this about Liam Cohen, man. Like, he had Baker Mayfield playing. Baker Mayfield, a lot of guys thought his career was over and thought he was going to be resigned to a backup quarterback position or whittle away in Carolina or something like that. He had Baker Mayfield playing career best ball and getting $100 million contract. 40 plus touchdowns this year. Like, he got the most out of Baker Mayfield. Now, Mike Evans obviously has a lot to do with that as well. Bucky Irving and kind of his emergence really opened up the run game, which obviously makes things easier for a quarterback. So shout out the former Oregon Duck, Bucky Irving, as well. But Baker I think a lot of it comes from the offensive coordinator. And I think Jacksonville looks and says, listen, man, we have a $275 million quarterback. We've gone all in on the quarterback. We have to find someone who can get the most out of him. And I think that's why they were so high on this guy. Why did his name?
Liam Cohen.
I was going to say Liam Schoen. I was going to mix him up with Joe Schoen, Giants GM. Anyway, I think that's why they were so high on this guy. I think that's why they went out of their way to, let Balky go and let Balky walk and get Liam in the building. And I think he's going to be a good head coach. It's tough to give him a stamp of approval after that weird shoulder wave kind of dance move Duval that we've all seen 10 times. But I like what he did with Baker. I think he's going to do the same with Trevor. So I'm high on him as a coach.
And you know what? Like, I mean, maybe that's the key to getting a head coaching job in the NFL is help Baker Mayfield, because David Canales did it the year before, got the job with the Carolina Panthers, obviously, and now Liam Cohen. The Liam Cohen, and I just look at his journey. It's been a fast rise from college. You're at the pro, back down to college, then with the Bucks. Man, he gives me Brandon Staley vibes.
Really?
A less well-spoken Brandon Staley, because
he was a quarterbacks coach at Kentucky 2 seasons ago. Like, that's pretty remarkable to now be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, getting like what's he getting, like $15 million a year, I bet?
So much money. I mean, he was going to be the highest paid coordinator in football. The Bucks liked him enough to give him that, and then I guess he kind of parlayed that into the contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Interesting stuff, and I don't know. We'll see how it works. We're going to be getting into it a lot in Fantasy Frenzy as we approach the NFL draft. Shedeur Sanders, Wanya, you can get in on this one because we've talked about just the business of sport and what he brings. I mean, his father alone has really helped him to grow his brand. Declan, I want to say to you, what do you think he is on field, and then Wanye business wise. You think this could be a lot of money made?
I think if you look at the Bronny James experiment, which a lot of people didn't like and continue not to like, they give the kid guff left and right. From a business perspective, for the storyline perspective, from the merchandising perspective, like the Oakland Raiders moving to Las Vegas, what recent history do they have to look back on these days? Are like tremendous. I mean, the spot's hired for now, but whoever gets Coach Prime and his kids, they're going to have storylines for years, whether it works out or not.
Well, I don't think they're going to get them together.
Even just the speculation, though, like of them doing stuff together has been great. I'm watching that.
You would have to get him
That's
first.
so short-lived, though.
Yeah, that's what I worry about. Because if that's what you do, and like obviously it lines the owner's pockets, which is good, they'd be very happy about that. But if you don't win, I don't know. I think the fan base might call you out on that.
Then you fire the dad, and everyone gets excited. Then you fire the kid, and everyone gets excited.
You're staying in the news cycle.
Exactly.
On the field, Declan,
cold as hell.
Me and you have had differing opinions. I'm not sold on this quarterback class as a whole, and I just look at distractions, man. I don't know. I think he's a talent. I hope, and I have no reason to believe he won't take it super serious because I think his dad's going to get him going in the right direction.
No, I think it's certainly fair to say a bit of a distraction. That's just what's come with Colorado these past couple of years. And, Dion's obviously the huge reason for that. But as far as his game on the field goes, man, unbelievable pocket presence, great touch on deep balls, really quick release. Doesn't maybe read his progressions as fast as you would want an NFL quarterback to do, but he has such a sense of timing with his first option that it generally works out for him. Doesn't turn the ball over a lot, doesn't throw muffin. And like, listen, I'll say this as well. A lot of his interceptions this year, and he didn't have many interceptions this year, but a lot of his interceptions this year, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but in college, the hashes are wider. And when you throw a cross field, there's a lot more distance for that ball to travel, and there's a lot more time for the DBs to jump routes. So that was definitely the case in a couple situations. But yeah, great touch. Often drops it in a bucket. Really good pocket presence. Moves around in the pocket well. Like I think he's a hell of a talented quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's a high ceiling, and I'm interested to see how it goes. I don't put too much stock into pro days. I don't put too much stock into the combine.
Ever since Zach Wilson.
Yeah, just show up and don't trip on your own 2 feet, and you pass for me. Don't do 0 push-ups or bench press. Although I don't know how many quarterbacks will get into it, but. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to see. He's going to bring a lot of eyes to whatever team he lands with. Coach Big Dog says, hot take, boys. He's going to be better than Ben Johnson with the Bears, talking to Liam Cohen. He's respected by Sean McVay. T-Law to the moon.
T-Law to the moon. Let me ask you this one, Connor, as well. Would you rather have Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders?
Man, I don't know. I really liked watching Cam Ward with the Canes. Like, it seemed like they were never really out of a game, and maybe there was just some mayhem to those games and underachieving to start games. He seems like a guy who I think, will always keep you in the fight. So, I'd prefer to hear your answer. You watch college football a lot more than I do. I'm going to dig into it a little bit more as we get closer to the draft, but I'm thinking, I think I go Ward 1A, Sanders 1B.
I'd probably flip it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think Ward is a little bit more risky.
Yeah.
I think now, like, to his credit, he had to be risky playing in Miami because his defense did nothing for him. His receivers didn't do a hell of a lot for him. Like, he had to be risky because the offense fell on him so often. He had to be great for them to win games. But it's still risky, right? Like, even if it's risky by necessity, it's still risky. And I think Shedeur was probably a little bit less than that. Just in, I'm not even talking about like big plays down the field on 3rd and long or on 4th downs when you need a conversion and plays that end up as interceptions. I'm just talking about your regular, everyday first and 10, 2nd and 7 throws. Cam Ward has, I think, a little bit more controlled nervousness, but again, still nervousness. And that's why I would lean Shedeur.
We both have them 1, 2.
Yeah.
If we were ranking our 3 through 5,
man,
Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers,
get them boys out of there.
Will Howard,
get him way out of there.
Curtis Rourke.
Oh, I like Curtis Rourke a lot. I'm
Jackson Dart.
I was gonna say it's crazy, but Jackson Dart would be my number 3,
Mhm.
just because I think Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, they both had significant enough fall offs for me not to put them there. And I just don't. No disrespect, I just don't think Will Howard's ever going to be good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it with his game. So I would probably say Jackson 3, and then. I mean, the list gets so thin, so you probably do just by necessity have to put Jalen and Quinn 4 and 5. I guess I would go Jalen, Quinn 4 5. But I would also say it's a big drop off from 1 to 2 to 3, and then it's a big drop off from 3 to 4 and 5.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, I kind of said it for the last few weeks. I like Jackson Dart. I think that he's going to be a guy who rises, and QB3 maybe. I guess we'll have to see how it all works out.
That's why we watch the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny too how some of these guys, like you say Will Howard. How about like Riley Leonard? Like, will they ever be starting quarterbacks in the NFL? Probably not. And if they are, it might expose them. So maybe they just want to find that comfortable spot as like the third string. You're not active on game day. You're just collecting a paycheck for a few years, and don't get forced into the limelight. What's the meme going around? Accidentally did my job too good now, and now
accidentally became important at work.
Yeah.
It's killing me.
You don't want that. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Play Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
A bedtime story by Zachary Martin Hyman.
The hockey game's over. The Zamboni sleeps soon. I lay down in comfort. Legacy heating my room. Good night to you, furnace, with your hot blower running. Good night to you, air vents, keeping the warm air coming. Good night to my payments that I won't see for 1 year. Good night to my legacy. Bedtime is near.
Warm winter nights. That's how you soothe your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Swing by during the 2024 model clearout and take advantage of January rebates of up to $9,000 or access finance rates as low as 0%. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
Portions of this hour brought to you by EPCOR. Stormwater ponds in Edmonton are designed to move water and runoff from streets and sidewalks, and that makes them unsafe for winter activities. Instead, head to a community league, or city rink that is safe for you, your family, and your friends. Think twice and stay off the ice. Learn more at epcor.com/winter safety.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. A few more minutes left in the show. Up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. Got the Jason Smith Show in there. 2 pros and a cup of Joe. Ben Mahler. All night, overnight, live sports talk radio. You're not going to get that anywhere else in the capital region. And tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., Brandon Douglas back with the Kevin Carius Show. Of course, we'll have the Fantasy Frenzy program. Low down with low tide, and then we'll be back here on the Jason Gregor Show to do it all over again. It is game day. Oilers taking on the Detroit Red Wings, so Walker and Paulson in for pregame coverage as well. If you missed anything on the show today, make sure you go grab the podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, or jasongregor.com. Of course, we had Mike Rupp on this show, Tyler Yaremchuk, Brogan Houston, Ryan Holt, Condors play-by-play, and Mark Spector. It's all available there. G says, this QB draft is the worst ever. Signed Wilson, Rogers, and Darnold. Declan, you replied. The 2022 draft. Was that the Haskins draft?
No, man. You want to hear the first quarterbacks off the board in that one?
Daniel Jones? No, that was earlier.
Kenny Pickett at pick 20.
Oh, Malik Willis.
We had Kenny Pickett at pick 20. We had
Malik Willis.
We had Malik Willis in that one. Sorry, I'm just doing a little bit. We had Malik Willis at pick 86, Desmond Ridder at pick 74, and Matt Corral at pick 94. Those were the first 4 quarterbacks off the board in that draft.
Me and you and I were doing a show down the dial.
Yep.
And we were like, when Pickett was picked, like, does this force the hand for Malik Willis? No, it didn't. It did not. That wasn't a very good one either. Kind of disappointing. I've said it before. Like, you look at it's all can be timing. Like the New York Giants, when they selected Daniel Jones, the draft before was really good. The draft after, they could have had their choice between Tua and Justin Herbert. But the year they were bad and decided to go quarterback, they went Daniel Jones. Now he had a good rookie season, but a lot of it can come down to timing and when you make that selection and decide to take the quarterback this year. Yeah, I think it's kind of consensus. If you're not getting Ward or Sanders, when do you pull the trigger and take a quarterback? I don't think it's going to be like Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. Any surprises, Declan?
I couldn't possibly see any surprises jumping. I mean, the biggest surprise would be Jackson Dart jumping up, right? Because he's a guy who people kind of peg, maybe 3rd rounder. He would be the one that really jumps. So I guess maybe Jalen and Quinn jump up, but they like you would expect them to go after Cam and Shador anyway, and I don't think they have this. I don't think they have the ceiling to jump the way those other guys did.
Wanye, what are you doing tonight? No Oilers.
It's a tough one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably watch more Russell Wilson documentaries just to get a real 360 on this guy.
Maybe we'll have to try to get him on the show.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I'd know everything to ask him.
What college did he go to?
I don't know.
Trick question.
Oh, if you want to take 2 guesses.
No.
Do you want to try?
No.
One was the Wolfpack, Declan?
Yeah, one's the Wolfpack. The other one is the Connor.
Wisconsin Badgers?
Yeah.
Just throw up the Wu-Tang sign?
I threw up the Wisconsin sign to those of you watching on YouTube.
What on earth?
W's.
We could sit here and talk about who played for what college football team, and I could go 0 for 400, Declan, but where would that get us?
Just name a school. A big football school.
Miami U.
Okay, where did Clinton Portis go?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, just say Miami U again.
Miami U?
Oh, you know.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Oh, no problem, boys.
Rockstar stuff
no
right
problem.
there. 1-833-414-40 if you got any text and get them in quickly. We are going to be wrapping up soon. Manny says, I know I text your eyes off, but I really appreciate the station and personality you bring to it. Thanks for good listening. I don't know if that was meant to be on air, but you know what I say. You send it in. I will read it as much as possible. Again, tomorrow, lots of Oilers talk. The Detroit Red Wings in town. Could we see John Klingberg in the lineup? I suppose we'll find out. And I'm intrigued by that. That might be like, if he's playing, I'm going to be locked on him whenever he steps on the ice, just to see how he looks when he gets hit. Well, skating at practice, looking great. That's fine. Darnell Nurse was able to skate around in the preseason, but he wasn't able to play. There's a difference when you step out there, and every player going up against him on that Red Wings team would know, hit him. Like, he might have an injury, be physical. The Red Wings need wins. Todd McClellan, he's going to know it. So I want to see how he does when he can take on a hit. Compro Evolution says, I turned you off at 2:44 and now it's 5:53. You're still talking about boring stuff. Please bring back Gregor.
Man, we talked so many sports today. I educated the masses on the Senior Bowl.
Isn't that a nice thing to say as the show ends?
Absolutely. Hey,
I'm going to
that's
show
okay.
up to y'all's job and tell you trash.
Gregor will be back. I don't actually even know. Like Tuesday or Wednesday. Everything will be good. Don't worry, Compro Evolution. Things will get better. It's a bad day. It's not a bad life. Up next, Fox Sports Radio here on Sports 1440. For Wanye, Declan, Liam, and all of our guests, I'm Connor Halley. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check the podcast. If you missed anything, you can also go watch it on Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. Right now, let's get to one final Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home and no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace. Stay warm all winter long at legacyheating.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And one last time for me for your Sports 1440 update. NHL action, 3 games at the end of the first period. The Wild lead the Maple Leafs 2-0. Kings trail the Panthers 1-0. Sam Bennett with the goal in that one, and Flyers and Devils tied at 0-0. NBA scores around the league right now. It's the Nets leading the Hornets 42-31 with 3:50 to go in the second. Pistons trail the Pacers big 59-41. That one with 6 minutes left to go in the second. Pascal Siakam leading the way with 19 points. Raptors up huge on the Wizards 44-26. Scotty Barnes leading the way in that one with 9 points. Bulls up on the Celtics 18-17. Kristaps Porzingis 13 of the Celtics 17 points. Other games in action see the Cavs leading the Heat 19-13 in the first quarter. Knicks leading the Nuggets 18-6 with 7:10 in the first quarter. And the Kings leading the 76ers 15-11. 4:30 to go in the first quarter. Other news around the sporting world today, Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark wants her first 3-point contest to come to the WNBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis and will not participate in a special challenge during NBA All-Star Weekend, according to her representation. St. Louis Blues have agreed to a mutual contract termination with Brandon Saad, and Flyers goaltender Samuel Ersson will replace injured New Jersey Devils goalie Jacob Markstrom on Team Sweden for the Four Nations face-off. I'm Declan Kruger. Up next is Fox Sports Radio. Brandon Douglas, Donovan Paulson back tomorrow at 7 a.m. On behalf of Connor Halley, Wanye, Gretzky, and Peace, this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions assembled.
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Silent Rides